Was there any fraud found in this year's election?
No, there was no evidence of widespread fraud found.
Widespread?
Yes, no evidence of widespread fraud.
But there was evidence of fraud, right? Just not widespread?
Nope, no evidence of widespread fraud.
So, just so we are clear, there was indeed fraud, it just was not widespread.
No, you are misunderstanding me. There is no evidence of widespread fraud that would have made an impact on the election.
So, once again, there was indeed fraud, just not enough to influence the election.
No, there was no fraud.
So, there wasn't any fraud at all.
No, there was no evidence of widespread fraud.
Are you fucking with me right now?
What's up, Cyberspace Cadet, Cyberfam, and Fanbox galore? It's all right, prostate. It's Friday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the Creem Stream with the Cream Team, living that Cream Dream. Ding, ring that bell. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that. Ring that bell thing. Ring it. Ring it. Ring it. Ring it.
With that smash.
There it is. Bing. There you go. Ring a bell, people.
Lick that smash button.
What up, fam?
How you doing?
Hey.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And let's say it to people in alphabetical order. Number one, Attila the Hun. Number one.
Hi, everybody. My name is, I don't know. My brain is jellified today.
Alphanumerical alphabetical order.
Yes. Becca Fairley.
Hi, friends.
What's up?
I hopefully the moon.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, if it's not, it's on the other side of the planet. I mean, it's still in orbit.
Yeah, somewhere.
Hey, Roasted.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Oh man, I have been having an absolute lovely, lovely time.
Dude, I saw some Spetsnaz sniper team, ISIS kills, and I guess it was infrared, right? This dude was just meat flying, man. It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
Oh,
people don't realize that when you get hit by a 50 caliber round, it makes a hole about 4 inches across.
Not
so,
nice.
Yeah, you get hit with the heavy caliber sniper rifles that the long distance shooters use. Yeah, even if it like misses center mass and hits you in the shoulder, you just lost that arm.
Yeah,
So,
it'll vaporize that head too, won't it?
Oh yeah, it will turn that head into a canoe.
Indeed. Stone Monkey, say something.
I put my pants. Oh, whoa, hi.
Hey man, what's happening? And last but not least, of course, it's Trippypoop.
Oh, God, it stinks.
This town needs an enema.
This town does need an enema.
Yeah, does
I'm just
now.
saying.
God. I'm sorry, guys.
Needs an enema.
I think the music's just a little too loud. We'll cut it back just a little bit. Get everybody in the mix.
Oh shit.
So confused.
Yeah, it's music.
Data Raider. Goat band's here.
Made it where everybody here. Yeah, we've been blessed by the goat, so that's a good thing.
Oh, shit.
Always lost on nothing else. What is happening? I've developed a theory as I think I know who you really are, and I think I know you. So we'll just leave it at that. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. I ran across on Cliff. Oh. If I could speak English, it would be nice. Just making sure everything's right on. Everybody say hey to D Live and Twitch.
Oh shit, we're like,
Hello, D Live and Twitch.
Hey, JP donated $1.04. Thank you. Thank you very much.
G. Live. He's just trying to keep the horny demon off of the screen.
That's great, man. That's oh, okay. Is that a prepay?
Yeah, that thing is terrifying to a lot of people,
Yeah.
including children.
Yeah. This ain't for
They're not
kids,
supposed to be up
man.
this late anyway.
Yeah, man. It's sorry. So I've cut out of the TNA, if you understand. And this is just purely political. So this should be like monetizable. I don't know. Probably not. They'll probably find some excuse. I do cuss a lot, so there's that. So let's move in the well, the main room's not where we're gonna watch shit, but I just want everybody to say hey to
hey.
Hey, anybody have anything in particular they wanted to like talk about their week before we get rolling on this thing? We got a little bit of time.
Fair
It's
warning.
been a shitty week.
Yeah, I was gonna say fair warning. My brain is jello, and I don't really know what's going on in the news. So if I get loud, I'm sorry, because a lot of it's gonna be a surprise to me.
Oh yeah, interesting shit this week. Yeah, we had a freaking we had a new raid drop in WoW Classic, and we downed 4 bosses, which was pretty dope. And our boy Excel got his sword that he wanted, and it's pretty. I'm jealous, but I can't use it because I'm not a mage.
You don't want to touch another man's sword anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. There's one I want. I'm hoping to get it.
That's right.
Touch it. Poke it. You're like, that one's mine.
I will literally jizz my pants if I get it.
Oh, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they say, man. If you put your penis on something, nobody else can eat it. That quote is attributed. That quote is attributed to Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, really? Yeah. He forgot about syphilis. You know, and fucking bacteria, right?
Right. Yeah, he was trying to cure that with a kite. He wasn't trying to find electricity.
You could probably, you put it on, if you put it out on the right table in the right place, you probably could get something from it. Just saying.
Probably.
Whatever,
Ew.
right? Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
He
was trying to discover
it's a Friday night.
HerbLadies.
Mm-hmm.
Got a sniff of HerbLadies now.
Got the
Holy shit, that
HerbLadies.
thing's getting more names.
I thought that was my granddaughter.
It's getting more names on it every week.
Oh man.
I blame Trippy.
Uh-oh.
Sniff of HerbLadies, man. It was an epidemic for a long
Easy
time.
to blame Trippy.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. That's right.
Who are you working for, China?
That's the question.
Put that dick down now. This town needs an enema.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh shit. Put the dick down. There's an enema.
Whiskey, no.
We should have we should make a soundboard game where you throw sounds like cards and like Magic the Gathering or some shit.
Oh shit! Or even one where you can reply reply to each other with soundboards for a full stream. That would be annoying.
That would be annoying. It'd be an interesting game though, you know.
I'd probably play that with a Cards Against Humanity deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. We used to play it. I gotta see if I can set it up.
Oh my god!
That's really all I need to try.
I don't know.
Cards Against Humanity was okay. It's pretty fun.
I
We had a little too many inside jokes because we started building a deck back in the day. But that's okay.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was there.
It got a little too inside-y is all for my flavor, for my taste.
Right on.
Where people were asking us, like, was that a joke? It's like, I don't get the reference anymore either.
Right. We're going to slide in a different room tonight.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. We're sliding in the Trippy room. The Rippich room.
Rippich room.
Hey, I like that.
Trippy Shroom?
Somebody called me Truppypoop once.
Why?
That's kind of adorable.
It was Sarah. But
dude, I swear to God, I was thinking about her the other day.
I killed her.
I kept calling Sarah Hatchaby Sanders. I was talking about her. Kept calling her Sarah Huckabee Sanders the other fucking day. And I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Well, that's where she got the name from. Yeah. So, yeah.
She said a mouse gave it to her.
And on that note,
Worms on the mind now.
All right.
I still don't understand.
I just looked at the stream. The guy scares me.
Yeah. It's been modified. All right, in the lines with fair use. All right, and we're gonna not watch the whole thing, of course, because everybody's pretty much seen this by now. But we must document this on the Creem Stream itself.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Since I don't even know what month, what Friday this is, we're into the coof. But that is the background we're using. So we're still in COVID quarantine. We came down too for a little bit, but we went back down.
We have some breaking news for you in our world lead. CNN has obtained leaked documents from inside China, documents that reveal the missteps and the chaos of the Chinese government's early response to the coronavirus pandemic. The documents are from Hubei province, home to the city of Wuhan, where the pandemic is thought to have started. They show authorities released misleading public data on the
no shit.
This is news, people.
Number of
this is fucking research right here.
On average, 3 weeks to diagnose a new case and much more. CNN's Nick Payton Walsh is breaking the story for us right now.
An unprecedented leak
of
Chinese documents to CNN reveals for the first time what China knew over weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic did not tell the world.
Finally.
A whistleblower who said they worked inside the Chinese healthcare system shared the documents with CNN Online, which show a chaotic local response from the start.
It turned out that the China virus came from China.
Well, a lot of the stuff that they show, I think I've seen it on NTD, right? Because NTD shows those. Supposedly, it shows them showing. Always have these records and stuff that they get sent to them, because there's a connection with Taiwan there. But anyway, so I just this is a no shit. So
it's like the photo negative of the United States. Instead of
it's like
them calling somebody that gets hit by a logging truck a COVID-19 death, they run somebody over who has COVID and call it a logging truck death.
Exactly.
They do it the other way
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
If you could just tell us in your
here, listen to this guy.
in the simplest way possible as an expert, what is your opinion as to the validity of the numbers that were certified today by the Secretary of State and the governor about this election?
If I was an executive at a publicly traded company, I would never sign that because I risk jail time and having all my money taken from me in lawsuits. So to answer your question, I would never ever have certified. I'd rather resign than have certified those results.
Nice. See, that takes
balls to say. Professional opinion is that the numbers are fraudulent.
I believe they're fraudulent based on the data. And my sister asked me a simple question this morning. She goes, "How sure are you?" And my sister's a pretty stubborn person like me. And I said, "I'd be willing to put my life on it." I'm that sure
That's a
about the
ginger.
analysis, assuming
Yeah,
that the
you're
data
my
that I
kid,
got
though,
from the
Bert.
state and everything else was accurate.
He
So,
might
if
have
you give me
just
all
put his
inaccurate
life
data
on
from
it.
everywhere, then
Yeah.
that's my
It's
only
gonna be
caveat.
sad soon.
He's got nuts. Swing them balls, sir.
Dude, that's a ginger. He don't give a fuck. He ain't got no soul.
Every time he takes a
More like
step,
him.
they clang together.
Hey.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
Yeah, he's for whom the bell tolls, but it's
He's got
for whom
them
the
copper
balls
balls.
toll.
All right, so now we're going to go. All right,
was
so the
fucking
rest of the
brilliant.
night, I want to dedicate to what happened in Michigan Tuesday and Wednesday, because there was like I want to say 18 hours of testimony in front of the Senate subcommittee for the state of Michigan. And dude, it's like it was riveting in a way. Okay, look, I know Mr. Reagan put together an hour-long package, and I'm sure it's nothing but money shots, but there's some really good stuff in here, and I thought we'd just go ahead and watch as much as we can, and then in the comment, and there are specifically a couple people we definitely want to hang out with and talk about. All right.
All right.
Hey,
Mr.
fam.
Jack says no soul, too corrupt.
No shit.
Damn it.
Sorry, I'm laughing at chat. Tater's great.
Ms.
That
Early?
was a good joke.
Welcome to the Senate Oversight Committee. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm going to start with
All right, can everybody hear that?
Yes.
All right, good deal.
Spanish from South America with a black grandmother and a Hispanic Indian native mom. I believe in one race, the human race. With that said, I can tell you that I'm not a racist. I'm a legal immigrant who is an Indian native mom. I believe in one race, the human race. With that said, I can tell you that I'm not a racist. I'm a legal immigrant who is speaking here because I took my pledge to become an American citizen very seriously. I was a Republican certified poll challenger at the TCF Center from November 4th to November 5th. I was one of the victims of harassment, discrimination, and intimidation by election workers while I was fulfilling my duty as a challenger. What the witness has shared are no conspiracy theories. Several times, election workers tried to remove me from the room with the false accusations that I was impeding their process. They were the ones who blocked me from seeing the ballots, and when allowed, workers would complain. An election worker was brought up to harass me with the base of being too close. However, among themselves, they didn't social distance. I explained to him that I was only following the chairperson direction in and out. Somehow we got to the point that English was not my first language, and he implied that then I shouldn't be there. I told him that he was discriminating and that he was treating me like garbage. He went away. Later, poll workers whispered to each other and brought police officers to remove me. It was pretty intimidating having officers approaching me when I had not done anything wrong. I understood they were trying to do their job. I noticed an officer was Hispanic, and I talked to him in Spanish. They were being lied. The officer started backing up. I witnessed many Republicans being kicked out of the room, and it was scary. That is not the America I came to a few decades ago. They were mad, kicked out, and not replaced, even though they were Republicans outside to be allowed to enter. It didn't happen. Since I was not able to see the poll books and didn't have anything to compare with, I was legally advised to challenge every ballot. The workers got pretty upset about it and advised to their people not to stop the process and dismiss any challenge. I had pages of notes of ballots. Here I had an affidavit where I can prove you that I didn't see, we couldn't do anything. There were people entered with a 11900, and I took the time to check those people. They didn't allow me to challenge it. The names of the people are here. While the Democrats are dismissing the finding from challengers, is those people were alive and registered to vote, why they were manually entered. Why weren't the ballot boxes properly sealed by the workers? Several of them were unattended, and I had a list of those tables. Me and another challenger questioned why those boxes were unsealed. The election director proceeded to seal them. As an American citizen...
And something that came to my mind is that this ballot process and the way that they handle and deal with ballots, it seems like it's just over fucking engineered, right?
No,
I mean,
it should be that every ballot should be monitored by 3 people. No, absolutely.
No, I'm sorry. Just listen to. All right. What you'll hear though is you'll hear the entire process of what's supposed to happen, and it's too convoluted. You know, so it's like almost like it's designed for shit to fall through the cracks. Okay.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm going with that. So we'll keep going. This lady, can y'all understand her? Or we can.
I can understand her.
Okay, we can skip her if we want to, but I thought she was she's so cool. She's an immigrant that loves this country, and she just wants to see the right shit happen. I mean, and I was telling Trippy before we got it going. It was like I said, people from Michigan remind me a lot of like people where I'm from, man. And it's like, it's like maybe Americans are more alike than we think.
Oh, I think we are.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, there's some impressive motherfuckers in here, man.
American race.
That's right.
American race.
I don't know about a race, but I mean, culturally American. I think there's a culture here that, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see that as
attitude. Maybe.
There's a very, very distinct American, fuck you, I'm going to do it this way because I know it's the best way.
Right, yes.
Now, for everybody who's having a hard time understanding her, there was one of the Democrat poll people or election officials or the people that are working in these places that said, well, since she's an immigrant and English isn't her first language, she shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Okay? Just so you hear that. So when they accuse us of being bigots and xenophobes, remember who's the actual xenophobe.
Yep.
Because if you're ignorant enough to think somebody can't read and understand two different languages while speaking them, you're a fucking retard.
Yeah, there's an old saying in AA, if you spot it, you got it.
And on behalf of the people of Michigan, I'm here to demand that you remember you took an oath to defend the country from enemy, domestic and foreign. Remember, it is your moral, ethical, and lawful duty today to seek for an investigation on the chain of custody. Demand election integrity. Do demand a detailed forensic audit. You can go into history as the heroes for doing something right for this country and bringing to light what is hidden, or as cowards who didn't have the courage to protect election integrity. You will be remembered as those who took a courageous and political incorrect stand, or as dishonest people who side with the fraud. It is your choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator McDonald has a question.
I just want to say hi to Jasmine. Jasmine is a constituent of mine. How are you?
I'm good.
I don't have a question. I just want to say I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that every one of you had to go through this experience. I think it's reprehensible. I think it's unforgivable. So thank you.
It was hate toward us. That is how I described being there. I didn't come to a country that I will be mistreated in that way. I love this country. I will stand and fight for it, but doesn't really matter. I didn't grow up seeing people by skin colors. No matter who you are, no matter where you came from, you should seek for integrity, because outside the country we see America as an honest people, filled with honest people with integrity. I want that to be preserved, and that is why we are here. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Senator McDonald.
Fuck yeah.
Got it.
Any questions? Thank you. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for
I
your
will
testimony.
give you a copy of the affidavit that was given to the lawyer.
Please.
Thank you.
Next, we have Artisha Bulmer. Oh, my apologies, ma'am. Thank you. And then after Artisha,
this one.
She's my favorite. She's one of my favorites. Okay.
I did see a clip of this woman.
Yeah.
She's
lady. Yeah.
fucking amazing.
Well, see, all right. So they're supposed to speak for 3 minutes. All right. And so most of these are usually around that, but some of them stretch out.
we have Charles Richard, and after him, Evan Schock. Welcome to the Senate Oversight Committee. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, committee. I'm so happy to be here. Let me put my hat back on because this is my prize right here. This is the winner who won the election before it was cheated, before it was fraudulently cheated. It was cold and calculated fraud. And as a sidebar for Senator Santana, if Black Lives Matter, why did you skip me? Well, anyway, let me get on. Senator McBroom, sir, when I first saw your name, 2 things instantly came to my mind. One, will you sweep my testimony under the rug like the other people have done, such as Dana Nessel, who's in the fraud, check, Governor Whitmer, fraud, check, and all of the above, check. Or will you sweep me off my feet by taking my testimony as facts rather than fiction?
Good intro, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
She's on
These
fire.
people have the balls, man.
Yes, exactly. I'm just digging the balls of this lady.
too.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
She's definitely
dude, if she ain't married, I'm telling you, Trippy, this may be the
She's
woman for
familiar.
you.
I might have met her.
Yeah.
Who knows?
My name is Artesia Bomber. I am an adult citizen, resident, state of Michigan, also a registered voter. I was trained and credentialed to be a poll challenger for the November 2020 general election. I witnessed many election irregularities and violations of Michigan election law, and I hope that my statement is taken seriously. I am sharing this information under the penalty of perjury that if I testify, I can be locked up if I'm telling a lie, which I am not. On November the 3rd, 2020, between 9:30 and 10 p.m., I reported to TCF Center. I was assigned to 2 separate tables, absentee voting county board, 123 and 120. I immediately noticed things were not normal. Election workers were allowed to wear Biden t-shirts, blue face masks, the ones I recognized on Gretchen Whitmer's face in some of her interviews on Charlie Langston show. I also saw poll workers wearing Black Lives Matter face masks, which is a political movement. Joe Biden is moving to defund the police. Thank you very much. I am not passing judgment on this because I am a proud black woman from the city of Detroit. Welcome, my sister from the D.
Please direct your
I
comment to the
know
chairman.
this because I've been strictly told not to wear anything of partisan related to my candidates for office. So election supervisors seem to be implementing a double standard. Election workers had jackets, backpacks, purses, etc. on the tables and on the floors. There was no system to check your personal effects. Some people even had coolers for food with them. I don't know what was in them. It could have been ballots for all I know. I observed an election worker pull out a ballot from an envelope where the circle was completed next to the name Donald J. Trump. I saw this with my own eyes, all this that I'm saying to you today. I can see this because the marking was at the very top left corner of the ballot. Instead of processing the ballot, I saw the election worker push the ballot back in the envelope and put it in there in a black container on top of the table. I witnessed a meeting between election workers, team leads, where they gathered together and spoke at meetings that was in the left far-hand side of the wall. The meeting ended in cheers. Woo! They were just super excited. At approximately 11:43 p.m., I heard one of the team leads yell, "This is our house tonight," and further yell, "They gonna do what we tell them to do from here on out." I took that as they're saying, this is the Democrats' house tonight, and the Republicans, independent, or whoever, is going to do what we say tonight. And might I add, I was a U.S. Taxpayer Party of Michigan candidate at that time, sir. I observed stations where election workers were working on scanned ballots that had issues that needed to be manually corrected. I believe some of these workers were changing votes that had been cast for Donald Trump other than Republican candidates. I observed ballots with cursive writing notes at the top right-hand corner. I observed a lot of them. Let's say a count, maybe about 100 of them or more. I also observed these ballots did not have ballot codes on them. The one, you tear at the top, no ballot code numbers. At approximately 4:03 a.m., a poll worker announced 50 boxes of ballots coming in. Election workers loudly cheered, woo! Why? Did they know that they were for Biden? Was it a Biden dump? We don't know, huh? About 4:50 a.m., I witnessed a man spraying a chemical inside the ballot. It could have been air, but I also saw him put whiteout tape up inside of there, and he was walking around with this whiteout tape during the whole night. I have witnesses. If you need to call on them, their name is Cheryl Constantino, Linda Sawyer, Judy Jump, Debbie Swalf, and Marlene Benser, including myself, Artesia Bomber. I can't get all into this because I probably got a few more seconds, but let me tell you, it was voter fraud at its finest, pure and calculated fraud, and I wouldn't be surprised if people up here was involved. But this young man right here, Senator McDaniel, Donald, I got to give you kudos. I see you're interested in this. And Senator Thies, I have to give you kudos because I see you're really paying attention. I wish Senator Lucido was here because I say he's paying attention. And now I think you will pay attention. And I plead the blood of Jesus over this fraud, and that everybody that was part of it and know about it will be convicted in their soul and their spirit. They won't sleep. They won't eat until they come right. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen, baby.
I love that, dude.
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah.
Homesick, man.
Yeah, dude. You know shit exactly, man. This is yeah. She's
my people.
She's my people too, man. It's like
Hell yeah.
It's like I relate. I totally relate. So we'll keep going, man. The next guy's last name is Richard, not Richard.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be in pink?
Questions from
Any questions?
Questions from Senator Santana.
Oh, please.
Thank you,
You're
Chairman,
welcome.
and thank you, Ms. Bomber, for
you're
your
welcome.
testimony. You mentioned in your statements that you were also a candidate for the U.S. 13th Congressional District at the time that you were a challenger. Do you realize that you cannot do both of those acts at the same time?
Well, that's a double standard because y'all committed fraud and y'all wasn't supposed to do that at the same time as well. Man, I still witnessed it. My eyes still witnessed it.
Any other questions
Any other
from members?
questions?
Senator Tice?
I just want to make sure we get a copy of your testimony.
Sure, but it won't be done today because I'm going to amend it. So if you guys have anything with the word Artesia Bomber on it, dispose of it because it will be amended and that will be withdrawn. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're done? Thank you. You all have a wonderful day. And all who involved, now rest.
So maybe that's why she's familiar, because she was running for...
Next, we have Charles Richard.
Yeah. Charles Richard.
Oh, my apologies,
Okay,
sir.
no, that's quite all right.
After Mr. Richard, I have Evan Schock, followed by Adam DeAngeli.
Check this guy out.
Ready?
Sir,
All
yes,
right.
you have 3
Well,
minutes.
First of all,
Thank you.
thank you for having me. I'm not your normal person, and in terms of protester or otherwise. I'm a former vice president of quality in aerospace. And when I hear numbers bandied around. I got to tell you, if I accepted those numbers, as even though they're improvement on aerospace, on aircraft, you would be dying. The planes would be dropping out of the sky. It's deplorable to hear things like what the numbers were in 2016 and what they are in 2020. So when I hear this, so I'm going to go into my speech. I'm sorry, but it really does. I just can't believe that we talk about this. Okay, it's acceptable. So anyways, let me go on. My name is Charles Richard, and I'm the chairman of the Oceana County Board of Canvassers, and I'm one of the plaintiffs in the suit with Sidney Powell. And I'll make that emphasis. That suit is very valid, and we're going forward. And you guys will be involved in it, too, before long, I guarantee you. So I say that because we have got to clean up what is going on in the election process. When I hear Senator Lucido say, well, we're just lawmakers. Wrong. You guys chartered it. You chartered the Board of Canvassers. You go back and look at MCL 168. You guys chartered it. It's a 113-page manual, too. So I can tell you specifically on that. I've heard a lot of things about it. I've heard about clerks testifying. Those clerks know it up to this process. They know that part. But after that, no, they don't. The tabulators, the stuff, very few do. They're too technical. But let me tell you about one piece of evidence you don't know. The Secretary of State contracted with a company called VoterWorks. They use a software called Arlo. Arlo is an open architecture. You ought to look at that. That's a serious law. It's a back way into the QVF, the qualified voter file. What does that do? It allows them to enter names that may be fictitious. I've seen examples of places where these people don't live and whatnot. Take a look at it. That's pretty serious flaw. It's like your bank or your credit card being open. No one's looking at that. How did we find it? We found it by preparing for the Board of Canvassers last week. I happened to discover it by looking at the audit file, the risk. The state calls it a risk-limiting audit pilot system. It's a joke. I want to tell you that. It's a joke. How do I know that? I'm an auditor. I'm a systems auditor, not a computer systems auditor, a quality systems auditor, where we can tear things apart and understand what the documentation is, what you use as a standard. When you talk about an audit, what are you auditing to? What standard are you auditing to? So when I say that, so that's a joke. And that 1 minute, sir. Okay, that open hole there is like your credit card being breached, and that's what it is. It is a distinct breach, and it's there. We need to really focus on that. And another thing is, I heard a thing about the Black Lives Matter and Jesus. We had an incident in our poll. Well, a lady had a Trust Jesus shirt on. They would not let her be in the poll. She was a poll worker. They stopped. They told her it's a code, dress code issue, or it's an issue. She went to five different people, including the state. So I didn't accept it. I went to the FBI, and I heard Pete Lucido say that the FBI is a joke. And I'm going to tell you that right now, and I can validate it. So I'm going to finish with this.
They're all communists.
Wait a minute. Being a Christian is a political statement?
Yeah.
Only a communist would say something like that.
They've been attacking Christians for how many years?
Oh, I know, a long time.
Yes, it's been a while.
And it's ramping up.
It's time for this shit to end too.
Yeah, it is.
If they're too chicken shit to deal with the people that blow themselves up in the name of their religion, it's like people that aspire to to live to turn the other cheek.
Y'all keep fucking with Christians. I'm gonna start drawing a lot of Muhammad.
Well, it's like I'm at a point in my life, man, where there's I believe in something, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. You know
what I'm saying? But I'm not sure exactly where how to define it.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. It's and that's the God of my understanding, right? That's a
right.
very, very big deal. All right.
I've been a practicing pagan for almost 30 years.
I heard a lady say there's 1,000 paths to God.
There are.
Yeah. So keep rolling.
It's a joke because they don't go that far. I backed the guy into the corner and released, and then I talked to him again. He says, what do? Are we going to go after a $5 case, or are we going to go after a $10 million case? And you know what I said to him? I said, both. You know why? Because that's selective enforcement if you don't. I've been on city council. I can tell you that. If you do that, you are subjugating freedom. You're basically just going after money. So let me finish with one thing if I can, and I'll give you my notes. It'll be quick. I said, finally, you have a job to do under U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, Clauses 2 and 3. That states, and I'll paraphrase, the legislature will pick a number of electors equal to the number of senators and representatives in Michigan's case. We expect that with all the fraud going on in this state, that you would do your duty and elect the electors as described in the U.S. Constitution and rule this election null and void. Be a leader, not a wuss. Void the vote, elect electors. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir. We have questions from members.
I do. Just so you said voter. Thank you. Sorry, VoterWorks, and then you gave another name, but
Arlo is the software that they use. Yes, but if you go on, if I can, let me give you just a little bit addition on there. On their website, and they tell you because they ran out of time, it's an item 3, it states, add voter information for voter request. They're given a procedure, okay, just so you know that. So it states, add voter information for voters requesting ballots. This can be done manually and does not require a voter registration system integration. In other words, it can bypass the verification steps. Who would ever approve an open system like that? It's a major flaw.
And that's Arlo?
Pardon me?
That part is Arlo?
That's right off. That's in VoterWorks. That's what that's a claim to fame. Pull it up and look at it. It's like I almost died when I found it.
Thank you.
So,
okay, thank you very much, Senator.
Okay,
please, Mr. Richard.
Yeah. I'll give you these.
Please.
I didn't put my phone there.
Yes, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Evan Schock, followed by Adam DeAngeli, and after him, I have card for Karen Chopshian.
Karen,
I believe.
Uh-oh.
By the way,
Mr. Schock, welcome to the Senate Oversight Committee.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm a registered voter in Michigan, and I was an independent challenger at the TCF Center on November 4th, 2020. So I arrived around the time when the windows were being boarded up with cardboard boxes and signs and stuff like that. And when I walked in, I was confused on why they weren't letting challengers in and why these boards were being put up. And the people around me were also confused, so we decided to ask questions. Nobody around us could give us an answer. We were ignored, and people were walking in and out. We had no clue how these people were being let in and out. There was really nobody constituting it correctly. So after about an hour of waiting, I was an independent. So I had somebody come to me and ask me, hey, are you an independent? I said yes, and I was let in. There was me and about 8 other people. Once I got in, I signed in, and I noticed right away that it was very chaotic in there. There was groups of people in the middle where somebody testified earlier and said there's empty ballots in the middle of the room. There were groups around those empty ballots where it'd be easy for somebody to grab these ballots, hide them, or take them somewhere without being seen. I noticed a commotion in the back right corner, so I decided to go over and see what was going on. And another independent challenger, I asked him what happened. He told me, from what I saw too, because I followed the police over there, he was being told to stay back. There were more than, I'd say, about 9 people around this table. And there was just a lot of commotion going on. He said that he was told he had to leave as an independent challenger, and they wanted a new challenger in. So I felt that was wrong. And as I was walking later, I saw a woman named Karen, who she's going to be speaking soon. She was raising her voice, so I went over and asked her if there was an independent challenger at her table, which she said no. And they were blocking her view from seeing the ballots. So I offered to tell her what I'm seeing when they're duplicating these ballots, because she was in fear that she would be kicked out if she spoke up and challenged any more than she did. With these manual ballots, after we watched the duplication process go on, they brought more ballots over, and we watched them scan the ballots and put in the date 1/1/1900. I was actually with the Democratic challenger too. We were both confused on why this was happening, so we decided to call over a supervisor who the only response we got was, oh, that's the default date that we put. I didn't ask any other questions, neither did he. Didn't ask any questions in the fear that I'd be kicked out, as I just witnessed 4 other Republicans/independents get kicked out. And it was interesting because in the guide or in the handbook, it does say that no propaganda is allowed inside of the polling center. And I did see Black Lives Matter masks, and again, I feel there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like that's a double standard, and I feel that it's wrong that people can have that, and it's okay. I was called names whenever my mask fell down even a little below my nose. I'd be called names. I'd say I was killing people, stuff like that, while they'd be talking to somebody not wearing a mask. People at the polling centers weren't wearing masks. The people who were doing the duplicating. It was just very unorganized. Yeah, that's all.
It was a shit show, in other words, right?
Yeah, that sounds.
And intentionally created.
All right, so we've seen videos from the outside where they were putting the boards up and shit, and all the people outside, trying to get in. People saying they got kicked out and shit. So these are some of them people.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Adam DeAngeli.
That was Chad.
On deck will be Karen Chopshian, followed by Randy Bishop.
And here comes
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members, for this opportunity. My name is Adam DeAngeli, and I was a poll worker in the election for the city of Detroit, not a poll challenger, but a poll worker as an employee working at a polling place as a ballot box inspector on election day, November 3rd. I think I'm only the second person today who was a poll worker, so I can answer the question I think you may all have about why so many poll challengers were impeded. I took not 1 but 2 poll worker trainings for the city of Detroit, one for ballot inspector on October 14th and one for electronic poll book inspector on October 15th. And in both of those trainings, it was emphasized to the students in the classroom that the social distancing requirements could be used to impede poll challengers. In fact, both trainings emphasized that if poll workers got angry about it, we should call the police on them as a first resort. In fact, at the second training, we had a trainee, as they were explaining the social distancing rule, they said they have to wear a mask, they have to stay 6 feet back, and that's important because they can come behind your table. But if they don't have 6 feet behind your table, they can't come back there. So a trainee asks, so if they're 6 feet back, they can't actually see. And the trainer says, exactly, not unless they've got really good vision or they brought their binoculars. And later on, another trainee asked, what if they get really mad and they're yelling? The trainer responded, quote, 911, call the police on them, have them thrown up out of there. Knowing from these trainings that the city was setting up a confrontational setting in which poll challengers would be completely unable to perform their duties, I told others what I had been told, and I provided the audio that I had recorded of the poll worker trainings. This led to a lawsuit against the Secretary of State filed on Friday, October 23rd. The plaintiffs in that lawsuit, one was a gentleman testifying earlier this afternoon, and another will be your colleague in the House next year. There's a hearing on the suit, and resolution was reached in the morning of Wednesday, October 28th, 6 days before Election Day. That hearing is online at the Court of Claims YouTube page. You can watch it. It concluded with the Secretary of State agreeing to amend the policy to say that poll challengers would socially distance except as necessary to perform their duties. And critically, Judge Cynthia Stevens said, quote, I am more concerned that you get this directive out and amend the frequently asked questions for election workers than I am about this court's docket. Judge Stevens understood how time-sensitive and important this was. Both the hearing and the final order specified that this revised policy was to be made known to poll workers. I can tell you, as a poll worker in the city of Detroit on Election Day, nobody there was advised of this policy change. And in fact, the poll...
Yeah, they slow walked that shit, right?
Yeah, they did.
Of course they did.
And so nobody got it, and it was like, so there was 6 foot, god damn it.
Poll challengers were sitting at the end of our cafeteria table all the way at the end the entire day. Now, you might ask why I didn't tell the challengers myself about the policy, and the answer is because they're for the other side, which leads to another important point that I think you might have some questions about, which is how it is that so many of the poll workers were not real Republicans. Well, at both of the poll worker trainings I attended, they made the point of announcing that the electronic poll book inspectors included many teenagers. And in fact, at the EPI training I took on October 15th, a clear majority of people in the room were in fact teenagers. So,
what do you think about that, man?
I think that's fucking illegal.
Whoa. If they can't vote, they can't inspect votes.
No shit.
Right.
That's unconstitutional.
They're all little activists.
Yes,
you got
they are.
little activist workers. They're gonna do their
They're also
job.
dumb kids.
They're gonna
They're
useful
dumb kids.
idiots. You're gonna
But
do
they've
what
got
they're
all the
told.
schools and shit locked down, so of course the dumb kids are going to go out and do whatever the fuck.
That's right.
So for all the people that came up today that said they applied to be a poll worker but didn't get the job, there was something going on that was coordinating the hiring of employees for a certain purpose. Now you'll know, or maybe you don't know, but yeah, I assume you do. Poll workers are required to specify their party affiliation. They can't say they're independents. Well, what's your party affiliation when you're a minor and you're not even eligible to vote? So I thought that was an important thing. There's a lot more in my affidavit about what I saw happen on Election Day. For example, we were instructed at the training that provisional ballots were used to mislead ineligible voters as essentially phony ballots that would be destroyed by the Department of Elections. It's all in the affidavit and also linked to the recording of the complete poll worker training from start to finish. And I'll take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. D'Angeli.
Yeah, that fire engine sound is
They told you, you're
it's a
saying,
timer.
at the training, that they specifically stated that it was intentional to make it difficult for challengers?
Yeah, they actually had a laugh about it. They said, and again, I'm quoting from the recording, which you can listen yourself, but they asked, so if they're 60 feet back, they can't actually see. The trainer interrupts. Exactly. Not unless they got really good vision or they brought their binoculars.
How great is
Other
it
members have
that he recorded that?
Mr. D'Angeli, you've submitted a very substantial amount of additional testimony, so thank you for that, and thank you for keeping it to 3 minutes now. I appreciate that, but we'll look through the longer testimony.
That's what happens.
Thank you.
Somebody hook him up. Not going to be me.
Next I have Karen Chopkin, followed by Randy Bishop.
Watch for a flat butt.
And then
This
Lenore
is the woman that got
from
doxxed, right?
I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name.
It's
ma'am.
Chochin. It's fine.
How do you say it?
Karen Chochin.
No.
Chochin?
Chop.
She shows up later with a mask
Is that going to destroy my seconds?
No.
Thank you.
Starting now.
Okay, first off, I'd like to say my affidavit was sent to Washington and stamped, and by a lawyer that worked for Senator John Kennedy. I'm going to make a long story short because a lot of this is repetitious, and I do see a few faces that I do know. And yes, there was a trough of blank ballots in the center for all the world to see, and welcome to take as many as you wanted, especially after hours. I am an administrator. I've done it for many, many years. I've done fraud at banks, embezzlements, and I've never seen administrative procedure so chaotic. It was a circus in there. They were banging on the doors. I didn't know if I was going to go under the table or leave the building. I could not do my job. So if you expected me to do it, I couldn't. It wasn't flowing right. And one example of me not being able to do my job were the military votes. Military votes I was unable to see at all. The first one, forget it. They wouldn't even let me do it because they said, we're starting and you're going to slow down the process, so we're not going to show it to you. So that was the end of that. And I was like at the top of my voice. I needed help. Nobody was helping me except a young gentleman, a couple young gentlemen, but specifically Evan Schock. He was an independent, and he came in there to help me because they would not allow me to see the ballots. They were 6 inches apart. I was supposed to stay 6 feet. Was that the law? Well, that's the way it works in there. So he had to help me. He had to like rubberneck himself and tell me what each ballot said. 2.5 hours for 19 ballots, and the computer screen was at the opposite end of the table. So everything was very awkward. And some of these ballots were opened and stapled shut. So I don't see any administrative sensibility about this since I've done paperwork all my life. I don't know the internal organs of the computer, but I did see 1900 a lot too at that military table after those were counted. So there was plenty of those. Yes, do you have something to say?
No, you have 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 minute? Okay. So let me just reiterate.
What they have to do is they get the military ballot, and then they have to mark what's marked on that ballot because it's not the same as the ones they're using. So they have to have physically, mark them. And then you feed them, right?
But the rumor has it that all of these military ballots, none of them were registered voters.
Oh, yeah?
That's why they were having to enter
1900.
Zero, right, January the 1st, 1900.
Right.
And 1992.
It reminds me of
Y2K.
Yeah. Remind anybody else of Y2K?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when they told us that computers would reset if you put in that specific. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
That reminds me of something. Nobody else, you guys are getting it, but I hope everybody else realizes that, because that doesn't seem to be that doesn't seem to be too big of a jump.
I can't believe how fucking stupid this is. Like, I'm not even a professional administrator. I'm just a fucking housewife who's done a bunch of random fucking jobs, but I have to run a small school out of my house. And if I had anything running like this in my house, I would have no ability to generate transcripts for my son, who's going to be a fucking doctor soon.
Damn.
Okay,
Right.
this is
It'd be a runaround all day.
fucking nuts, dude. No, I don't even know, dude. This is fucking insane.
Yeah,
The way they keep describing the system, I'm like, what are you doing? There's
5 million steps and nobody knows them.
Right.
Okay, some envelopes were opened and then stapled shut. Poll workers received a select few would not allow me to see the first ballot. Yes, okay, so long story short, since this is in Washington and since it is a little bit repetitious, the bottom line is I was not able to do my job because of harassment, and we had a parade of Black Lives Matter in rhinestones. I was told not to wear anything. In fact, I'm wearing what I wore today at TCF. So I did not see anything Trump, but I saw a lot of masks that said BLM.
BLM bedazzled rhinestone fucking masks. Yeah, nice. You
gotta trust Jesus.
Gotta love the exactly, man. Exactly.
$40 fucking masks.
Yeah.
Here, everybody have a $40 mask.
Remember the bedazzled
heroes on it.
Yeah,
bedazzling buttholes. I mean, wait.
Dude.
No,
Trippy's a one-track mind, man. He wants to pop that booty.
Rhinestones. Don't forget the rhinestones.
Don't forget the rhinestones.
As an administrator, I could not do my job,
I
period.
love this woman.
So there wasn't a lot I could do in all that confusion. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And one comment I'd like to make. My husband almost did. He said, "Why are you going over there? They're not going to do anything." I said, you know what? I'm going to go because I won't be able to sleep at night knowing that I didn't do something. But I just like to say that.
That's called passive aggressive right there. Yeah, I told my husband, he says, "Why are you going to go there? They're not going to do shit, man."
Well, they're not wrong.
Really
They're
quickly,
not.
They're not wrong at all, man.
Specifically, was your title?
I was a poll watcher.
Okay, thank you.
And I couldn't watch the ballots being counted.
Thank you.
Any
Were you
other
a challenger
questions?
or a watcher?
I was a watcher. I was a watcher. I watched everything, and I was told to be a watcher. I don't know a challenger. I guess I was a challenger, but I tried to believe that I was a watcher. I was watching everything.
Lives on the moon.
Okay.
Marvel?
Yes, Marvel Comics.
Okay. Well, I challenged, and I lost, and Evan had to help me. I mean, I'm a pretty, I'm capable of taking care of myself, and I don't know why a young man has to help me and assist me in reading the ballots. This is ridiculous. It was all ridiculous. I would invalidate the whole room because that's how ridiculous it was. So that's all I have to say. I'm just,
I want to revote.
I'm just disappointed.
To the same person. I don't give
Appreciate
a shit.
you
I'll
coming.
vote again.
Thank you for having me.
Let's do it right this time.
Next, I have Randy Bishop, followed by Lenore Couric, and then David. I think it says Clitby from White Lake, so I hope I pronounced that correctly.
To let them know.
Mr. Bishop, it's nice to see you.
Good to see you, Ed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. McBroom, and fellow senators. I appreciate the opportunity to address you today. I'd like to do so by swearing myself in. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
And, and only Santa Claus would do that.
Claus is a poll watcher. Sorry.
I vote for him.
Love it.
What did you say, Atima?
I said, "Oh my God, Santa Claus was a poll watcher."
That's what I'm saying.
Is that or Kenny Loggins?
Yeah, but listen. All right, so this dude's base. Listen to this shit. All right, this is like.
Unfortunately, I was here on November the 19th at the joint session between the House and the Senate, and the three clerks that I saw give their personal opinions were not sworn in, and in my opinion, they did not give testimony. One of those clerks is my very own clerk, Cheryl Guy. I live in Antrim County. Bill Bailey's a personal friend of mine, and I'm very familiar with what's going on in Judge Elsenheimer's courtroom on Thursday. We have a problem. As I do my radio show every day, I talk and interact with people all over the state of Michigan through my website and the TuneIn app. The problem we have is that we, the people, don't have faith in what happened in our state. You've heard all the testimony here today. I totally concur as a poll challenger for the first time in my life of 62 years. I drove down to the roof of TCF Center. I call it Cobo Hall.
He's a challenger.
Patrick Kobeck approached me and said, "You need to come see this." I own a radio station. I'm very familiar with the internet, Ethernet cables, routers, and modems. Every single tabulator in that long table was connected to a computer. That computer was connected to the internet via Ethernet cables. We tracked it down. Long extensions of Ethernet cables was piled up to hide what we got down on our knees and found, which was a high-speed commercial router. We saw it with our own eyes. Many people can verify this.
Yeah, every one of those machines is supposed to be air gapped. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's not supposed to be connected to the internet. At
Anything that it's not even supposed to be connected to the other machines.
Nope.
No.
To avoid hacking.
It's just supposed to be just plugged in, and that's it.
It's supposed
Power.
to avoid hacking, right?
Exactly.
The tally things.
Right, and you know, so yeah, but yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Patrick Kobeck went to Christopher Thomas and a Mr. Nathan and a Mr. Baxter, election officials in Detroit. We asked them, as I was witnessing the conversation, are those connected to the internet? No. You have to trust us. I'm willing to take a lie detector test. I know Mr. Kobeck will, and many others that you heard from today. My question to you, will Chris Thomas, Mr. Nathan, and Mr. Baxter do the same? We want a full forensic audit in Wayne, Macomb, Oakland, Kent County, and Antrim County before you guys can certify this election, because it has not been truly certified based on the fraudulent activities that took place in this state. And before you vote, I wish somebody would reach out to leadership and tell them to please stop saying we haven't seen any evidence to overturn the election yet. We have. Please do not send any electors to the Electoral College on December 14th until those full forensic accountings are done in Wayne, Macomb, Oakland, Kent, and Antrim counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Damn.
I will take your questions under oath.
Thank you. And members of the audience, I just beg you again, please, to try to restrain yourself, because I still have a very big pile of cards, and I know a lot of you are waiting. So any questions from members? No. Thank you so much
I
for
drove
being
all the
here.
way down here. I'd love to answer a question.
Senator McDonald.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Randy, at the end of the day, who are we ultimately going to find responsible? I don't want to make this political, Democrat, Republican. Who are we going to find responsible for this, in your mind, your opinion?
One thing I think that would solve the problem, and I would really love to heal not only the nation, but especially the state, I would love to see candidate, former Vice President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Jocelyn Benson, to agree to our request. We won't accept Biden and Harris as our president and vice president until we're given proof that nothing was illegally done in this election. If you go through a forensic accounting of Wayne, Macomb, Oakland, Kent, and my Antrim County, show us the facts. We want to see the ballots. We want to see the poll books. We want to see the cables, the tabulators. We want to see it all. And if you prove to us, Mr. Biden, with all due respect, we'll accept you as our president. We will accept you as our senators and our state representatives to heal this state and to heal this country. I have not lived for 62 years with kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids to see this election stolen, which is what we believe. Prove us wrong. All you have to do is that auditing of the books, the ballots, in full disclosure with a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, Jocelyn Benson, Governor Whitmer, Mr. Biden in the room. If you do that, the truth will be shown and our land will be healed. But until you do it, we're not going to buy it. The Democrats say, hey, shut up. It's been certified. No, it hasn't. I don't believe Wayne County has truly been certified. With what Monica Palmer and William Hartman went through, they never certified Oakland County. How could the Board of Canvassers certify the state when you don't have all 83 counties certified? They said it was. No, it wasn't. There's laws on the books. I understand the election law. You're going to be held accountable that if you don't send electors or you send the Republican electors, you broke the law. No, I say you responded to a higher law. You responded and appealed to God, and you did the right thing in your own morals and your values and the principles for the people of this state and for our country. And if you don't, God help us.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I told you he's based.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
He wanted to say a lot more.
After David would be Linda Sawyer, followed by Holly Spalding.
That,
Thank you,
see,
Senator.
that was
It's David
entirely.
Clixby, by the way.
It is an X.
Yes,
Okay.
it's an X.
That was an option I considered.
You know, another big thing that happened this week, and it was like I rolled the dice and went with this, but it's also the CNN morning calls that Project Veritas recorded.
Yeah, that shit's nuts.
I haven't listened to that yet.
He did 2 months of sitting in on those morning calls, recording them, right? And so he'll be releasing them once a week until Christmas, like an advent calendar, right?
Oh, that's going to be a day to wait for.
Yeah. So and these are like 2 and 3 hour phone calls. So
I wonder what Trump's team's going to give us for Christmas.
I don't know, man. I have no idea. It's gonna get weird though.
And then
Bullwinkle, what's up, dude?
Well, I mean, I got up to the 23rd of January for a decision to be made, all right? So we got a lot of time to wait.
Yeah, man. So
we'll be ringing in the new year with Trump.
He'll still be our prez. So,
Absolutely.
We know that for sure.
A president for us, too.
Fuck yeah.
Well, the latest stimulus, I know the latest stimulus has zero cash for the people in it. It's all payouts for other, big business.
Chocolate ice cream. Oh, wait, no, not politicians yet. I said chocolate ice cream like the Nancy had.
Oh,
I want 2 scoops.
Yeah, no, they are really mad at us. It's just more proof that Trump actually won. Because they're doing
the defensiveness, that's clear.
I look at it like this, dude. I look at it like this. At the very least, if Biden really had confidence that he won, he'd be asking for an audit as well.
That's what this dude just said. Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's nice. Put them on the spot. So, anywho, let's keep rolling.
Please, welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
Thanks. My name's Dave Clixby. I'm from Oakland County. I was a poll challenger both in this last election as well as the August primaries. I'm just here today to tell you what I saw and request that you do something about what I view as a somewhat fraudulent election. I was there on Tuesday from 6:30 in the morning till when they stopped the count.
And the reason he mentioned the August thing, that there were problems with that, with the local primaries, right? Exactly. So, and that's where they discovered there was a problem with the machines, but they went shh.
Nothing to see here.
You mean 67% of the precincts down in Detroit?
These are the voting machines. These aren't the voting machines you're looking for.
Y'all, their algorithm broke. The algorithm broke. Is what happened.
The algorithm broke the seal on the side?
No. In some of those machines, the algorithm broke.
Well,
they got too many Trump votes.
What it was that the way that they had it set to flip votes, because what it was doing a certain number every couple of hours, and it couldn't go above a certain number, right? And so when it hit 3 or 4 in the morning, I don't know, might have been some kind of zeroing thing or something, right? They realized that there was 100,000 votes different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And suddenly the number jumped up beyond what it could have actually counted. The number that they got to couldn't have got to.
Right. So and that's why they shit themselves. But they had the contingency already. They had those thumb trucks with shit. No, it's not thumb drives, man. It was paper ballots, man, that are flat, not folded. All right, and supposedly printed by the Chinese. The Chinese.
Right.
That's important. Okay.
China. Those Dominion machines were Chinese too.
I'm telling you.
Who are you working for, China?
That's
the thing that nobody's talked about today is
not me.
Things are going very smoothly, and suddenly at 8 o'clock ish, the gentleman on the kiosk said, "Okay, that's it. You can go home. Stop counting." And they had a stack of ballots, a couple hundred. Things were very slow in the afternoon. Things come in, you have some work, and then you don't have any work for hours. The poll workers did their job. They had to be sitting at their table more than the poll challengers, and then we could have more mobility than they could. But when everything stopped, it was like a sudden shockwave through the room, and people didn't, because they were scheduled from 6:30 in the morning till 10 at night. So suddenly they get to go home early, and that's pretty much what I thought. It's it's over. It's not fun doing what we were doing in Cobo Hall for 12 hours a day. But the point, the benchmark of the numbers, when Mr. Baxter, I'm not sure if it was Baxter or the the head honcho on the kiosk said the total numbers of the ballots that we counted today up till now was 107,000 ballots. Everybody clapped. It was an acknowledgement of a job well done. 1 minute. So the point is, and then pretty much everybody left. My questioning is, what happened on the midnight shift? Because I came back in at 10:30 in the morning. I was called up and they wanted more help. And at 10:30 in the morning, when I walked into that room, it was like quiet. The dust had settled. It was just kind of a quiet, silent room that was just maybe waking up, but it was still pretty quiet and sleepy in there. So how is it that if they brought in 40,000 votes at 4 o'clock, that they would get all of them done by 10:30? It just doesn't, something about that doesn't make sense to me. And I don't trust that this election was fair and on the up and up. And what are you guys going to do about it? You know, I know you can hear it all, but if we're not going to take action on a definite fraud to the system, if you're just going to kick it down the road and worry about it tomorrow, and maybe this is something that we can correct the next time around, you've missed an opportunity to stop what's going on. I believe.
Thank you, sir.
I believe there was fraud in this election.
Thank you, Mr. Clixby. Any questions from members? Senator Santana.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your testimony. I just got one question. Did you trust the election back in 2016 when Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost Detroit by 10,000 votes?
What was it? Did I what the election?
Did you trust the outcome of the election in 2016?
Senator Santana, you got to change your evil ways.
She's being
when Hillary Clinton lost Detroit by 10,000 votes?
Not particularly, because if I remember right, Detroit was, it took them weeks to verify the election.
Got a black magic woman.
This guy's the shit too, man.
Got a black magic woman.
And I just know that it didn't look, Detroit did not look good in the public eye for just being organized, and there was just a lot of funny business going on then too. So no, I didn't particularly trust it then.
He's a
Thank
badass.
You, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Clixby. Next we have Linda Sawyer.
One last question. Greetings. My name is Linda Sawyer. Answers. Hi. And I volunteered as a poll challenger. I am also a registered nurse, and I'll tell you why I'm going to throw that one in. I am from Detroit. I'm from District 6. We have some thick skins where I'm from. And
yeah. I love this. I love these people, man. I really do. They're awesome.
I volunteered the night of the election, so I was the 10 at night to the 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. shift. Definitely a hostile environment when I walked in. I did not expect to see what I saw. And part of the hostility was definitely COVID. They used that as an excuse from the minute we walked in. And it was also an excuse to throw people out. You could have had your mask below your nose, and it was an excuse to throw you out. And the reason I put that in as a nurse is we all know that COVID is spread by droplet. The reason we wear our masks is so that we don't sneeze on people. We know that a sneeze or a cough can spread 6 feet. So we wear a mask so that we don't spread it. So if it's below your nose, it doesn't matter if you're breathing. They use that as an excuse to throw people out. And the whole irony of it is you had to stay 6 feet away from people so that we were forced not to see the ballots. But at the end of the day, when it was time to go home, they had us leave at the end of the room, and it was by escalator. So if you can imagine just a herd of cattle going up the escalator on the way out, that was okay. You could all smash in like a herd of cattle on the way out, and it was fine. So if you were trying to keep people safe, it did not matter at the end of the day. But as you were watching ballots, it made a difference. They kept us away from the ballots on purpose. They used COVID to throw us out. And at the end of the day, didn't matter. You could all smash in and leave the building okay. It was fine. So they used COVID as an excuse. And as a nurse, I found that despicable. Totally despicable. They used it to keep me from my monitor, told me I had to stay 6 feet away, but yet the supervisor stood between me and the monitor. So I'm going to flash forward to 2 o'clock in the morning. At midnight, Trump was ahead 10%, which was an unusually high amount. To about 2 o'clock in the morning, my monitor went down. It totally rebooted. So unless you can tell me there wasn't a data dump, there wasn't a data breach, I don't believe that the numbers were true, because when I went home and woke up, all of a sudden Biden was ahead. We had processed 120,000 votes by midnight out of the 170,000 absentee ballots we were expecting. So I assumed we were missing about 50,000, and all of a sudden Biden was now missing. And Sidney Powell did discuss something about this in Rudy Giuliani's press conference, and I do believe I did witness that, and the voting had stopped in the middle of the night. So unless you were one of the few processing tables, you would not have seen this rebooting of the laptops.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Sawyer? Senator Tice.
Sorry.
there's a theme here. So when you were watching people get thrown out, did you know whether or not they were Republican or Democrat as they were getting booted
It
out?
depends if they clapped or not. Anytime they clapped, you knew that was a Republican. And I had never heard of anyone that wasn't a Republican getting thrown out.
That was my next question. So you're not aware of anybody that didn't have Republican credentials getting...
No, but you could tell us. Our credentials were huge. Any other person just said election challenger in a very small tag, and we had bright yellow wristbands on. So you could tell who we were. We had obstructors too. So I've got more in my affidavit. I just didn't want to be redundant. So I did see election irregularities at my particular table, including non-processing of ballots. There was a certain process that the table went around. So I saw ballots not being processed, just taken out and put back in and stacked up. So they weren't even sent to the tabulator to be processed. This could have been hundreds of ballots. This could have been from a Trump precinct. And Artesia Bomber, who testified earlier, we were at that same table intermittently. She saw it was a Trump ballot. She testified that she saw it being put back in. In my affidavit, these were the tens of ballots that I saw being stacked back up and not tabulated.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, seems to be all. Now, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome to the Senate Oversight Committee. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I have 19 things in my affidavit, 19 items of things that I saw. I was at the TCF Center on the evening of November 3rd.
And the TCF is the one where they put the things up on the windows. Okay.
Oh my God, it's autistic Karen.
Huh? Yeah, it's like
autistic Karen. She's amazing, dude. Her hair and her necklace and her shirt all.
Well, see, I'm sure they thought she was some kind of feminazi, right? So they didn't fuck with her, right?
Election night from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I was the observer for precinct 29. Shout out to the ladies at precinct 29. They were
I know what you
awesome.
mean
I gotta
by
say, I did not experience the same kind of hostility that a lot of people did. I was able to talk to the workers before someone told them they weren't allowed to talk to me, and I wasn't allowed to talk to them. A lot of them, this was their first time ever doing this. There was one lady that was there for 30 years. She's been doing it. So I observed a spoiled ballot that came to the table that should have been stopped at the clerk's office. It was put in the problem bin correctly by the supervisor, but that should have never came. The next is they weren't following procedure. So the procedure was that the first person scanned the ballot, it would go to the next person would take out the ballot, read off the ballot number, and confirm that with the first person that scanned it in, and they were not doing that. I asked them why they weren't doing that, and they said they weren't doing that this year. So that's what they told me. I watched ballots that were had the wrong number, that didn't match, the inside ballot did not match the outside of the envelope number. So the second person was verifying it with herself. She wasn't verifying it with the first person. So she noticed that. She said that to the supervisor that they didn't match. So what they would do is they took white Post-it tape, they put it on the outside of the envelope, and they wrote down the number of the inside ballot number on the outside of the envelope. I witnessed that at least 3 times. And once the girl realized what the process was, she stopped mentioning it. She just knew what to do. Then there was, I did notice the Democrats that came in. They came in 2 different groups throughout the evening. There was 2 groups, and they weren't there to watch the process. They were there to watch us. They were standing behind me. I was 6 feet away from the table. They were behind me. They weren't watching what was going on. And at one point, I had 2 girls with their phones up, like they were recording me. I offered them my notes. I said, this is what I've observed. This is what they're doing. They're doing everything, they're catching these things. There were also, I observed torn, stained, any ballots that needed to be duplicated. They were not duplicated. The supervisor asked her supervisor, which is the people with the embroidered shirts, she asked them what they should do. And that supervisor told her to run them through the tabulator and only duplicate them if it was rejected. So anything that had a smudge, a stain, a tear, and I did witness a few of them. At some point, they stopped telling the supervisor that there was an issue with the ballot because they knew they were going to run it through anyway. Didn't matter.
Thank you. So earlier in your testimony, you mentioned running the ballots through the machine and then tearing the numbers off. Were they tabulating them first and then removing the number?
No. So the first person would scan it into the e-poll book, and then he would give it to the second person. The second person was supposed to take out the ballot because the first person never saw the ballot.
Right. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. That's when you said scanned the ballot in. I assumed you were talking about putting it in the tabulator. I understand now what you're referencing. Thank you. Any other questions from members? Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I do first of all want to say that we live in a republic with a democracy. I already gave you my written testimony as well as my affidavit.
Yes.
So what I'm going to tell you just a couple things that are in my sworn statement is I was a challenger down at TCF. And I did experience a lot of things of what people are saying. There was intimidation. There was the cock blocking of us being able to see the actual process where they wanted us to stand at the corner monitor. And the one most egregious
sorry.
thing that I noticed was it alerted me that the table person who was in charge of our table had told seat number 5 to hang on to 9 ballots because they needed to bring them back to change some numbers on them. So I'm like, oh wait, red flag in my head. So I thought, well, I need to go over by the scanner and see what they're doing over there. And I did. And after a little bit, and I was harassed about my mask because I can only wear it up to my nose because I need to be able to breathe. And I ADA. And anyway, so what I had witnessed was this gentleman scanning the envelope. He raised it up, calling for the table person in charge of our table to come. And he says, what am I supposed to do with this when the ballot number does not match in the book? And he said, well, we're just going to change it. And I said, you cannot change that. You cannot go in the poll book and change it. We need to challenge this. Well, when I did that, summing everything up, I was pulled aside about my mask. The woman and I had agreed that if you get me a shield, I will wear a shield with my mask. I'm good, And I thought that was settled. And while she was talking to me, I could hear the gentleman tell the scanner guy, just scan them and run them through. It's not our job to double check the numbers like this.
1 minute.
So that was the most egregious thing that I had experienced. You'll see the rest of my thing. But days later, my neighbor was walking her dogs. And so I went over in my jammies and I talking to her. She said, Robin, I want to tell you something. You're political, and I think I need to tell you something. So what she had told me was, she works at the local nursing home. And she had gone back to work after being off all summer. And one of the RNs had told her that the activities director held a activity in the building with the seniors, and it was a mock election. It was a mock election with real ballots, and that the staff workers were helping the seniors fill these ballots out, to the point that one gentleman was writing his name as Quincy, but that wasn't his name because he had Alzheimer's. So the worker actually crossed his name out and wrote on his thing, and was told that the ballots were in fact mailed out. So that's a point that I think nobody knows about or has heard about. I've asked them to come and testify, but they said that they're worried about their jobs.
And we'll need, if that issue is going to be looked into, we'll need something. Your testimony would constitute hearsay.
I actually have my stuff in writing, and I've given you all and I've given the facility's name, address, and all that information to you.
Thank you. Any other members have questions?
I do want to remind you, though, that your job is to thoroughly, whether you're Democrat or Republican, we have an ethical, moral, civic duty to make sure that this election is truly an legal process. And to me, it seemed like a lot of infringements and a lot of infractions, a lot of illegal behavior towards people trying to do their legal jobs were, in fact, violated.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your testimony. I need to apologize for Senator Tice, so I had to step up for another committee, and we'll come back as soon as she can. And
So one thing
Senator Santana does too, so thank you. We'll keep rolling.
What I want to tell you about is one of the envelopes that came through was the tab was tacked behind the envelope like this, and the ballot was showing like this, and I said, you can't process that. That is not a legal sealed envelope, and I got fought about that.
Were you successful or unsuccessful in challenging
every time I challenged them, which was about 6 times, at seat number 1's thing, they just wanted to put a post-it on it, and we'll look back at it later. It's not our job to worry about that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here. And then the gentleman was opening the envelopes. He hit with the envelope opener. He goes, I didn't open this, and the flap came open, and it looked exactly like this flap here. So there again was another unsealed ballot. Now remember, we do not know if these are Democratic or Republican votes. We just know that we're looking at an envelope that is legal or legally sealed or not sealed. And whenever I tried to challenge it, he put a post-it on, orange one. So just to tell you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Senator Brown.
You have 3 minutes.
Comments? It's like there's a repetitious theme that's starting to emerge, right?
She was pretty badass, though. She did drop cock block. I think that was pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah,
she said cock blocking.
She splits wood. She splits her own firewood. You know what I'm saying? Like she's got a garden, and she does shit with her life. I bet.
Didn't she say something like this isn't a democracy, it's a republic?
Yes.
Right. That was nice.
I mean, it was just like, I was like, oh my God, woman, you are speaking my language.
Exactly. Because that's exactly what we are. We are not a fucking democracy.
Yeah. No, we aren't.
We're a representative republic.
Democracy. We never
Which one is
had
it?
one.
Constitutional republic?
Yeah, technically, yes.
Okay. Because I mix those up and I'm like, son of a bitch. It's not good to mix those.
We are a constitutional, liberal, democratic republic.
You sound like Hank Hill, man. That's what it is, roasted.
When he tries to, I think I've heard him do an impression.
Do you do Hank Hill, man?
Bobby.
Say it again.
God dang it, Bobby.
It's right on, man.
Like he's here.
That's fantastic. Sweet. All right, we're rolling. Thanks, man.
My name's Bill Smith.
Awesome.
I'm a registered voter here in the state, and I was at the TCF Center.
Holy
there was a lot of confusion. You've heard a lot of testimony about confusion. And I have to say, probably a good part of that confusion is really at your doorstep. And by that being,
was his name Mr.
leading up to this election, we knew that there were going to be problems.
I want him to tell me.
And Ruth Johnson begged you guys to
Wait a minute, what's this guy's name?
more time. You didn't. That's a huge chunk of this.
Oh, no.
Because anytime when there is confusion, there's always doubt.
His name's Theodore Roosevelt. Don't you remember?
No, he kind of looks like
just fucking like him, doesn't he? Yeah, I forgot about it. This dude's great.
This guy's amazing, dude. He should be teaching about shit like trains and
He looks
stuff.
like one of my old math teachers. That's why I said
Or
his name.
chemistry. I don't know, dude. This guy's a
I just wanted to say bully. Bully.
Yeah, boy.
Bully.
That is my old teacher. He was a really good teacher. He's got headphones, man, around his neck or something. He's got something on his neck.
Yeah. Maybe that's some kind of, I don't know. Well, we won't speculate.
And that's what we're
He
facing.
has an entertaining look.
Likewise, there was a lot of ignorance in the room.
Yeah.
Ignorance as to what constitutes a legitimate ballot.
Yeah, that.
He's got a
What is a
hot
signature
wife,
supposed to be
though.
all about? How the entire process goes by. If you're predisposed to see
You
fraud,
know it.
you will see fraud in just simple mistakes. Mary Smith and Fred Jackson live at the same address. They fill out their ballots. They put them in separate envelopes, the incorrect envelopes. So you have the mismatched ballot with the number, and all this is readily explainable. Unless you want to see fraud, then these are illegal ballots. So part of this problem is just human error. Part of the problem is the folks just didn't have enough time. Part of the problem is a scourge pandemic. From my point of view, I saw a lot of poll workers work really hard. And I think there were some hard feelings on part of many of the challengers. There was a lot of sharp elbows, and people's got their feelings hurt. And I think that's what we're seeing here today. Hurt feelings. That's it.
Thank you, sir. You were in the room, I believe, a little while ago when we had a gentleman testify about how he was a poll worker and had received training, and in that training there were some instructions on
He's still got a great
making it
costume.
difficult for poll challengers. Were you in the room for that part of the testimony?
I was over in the
in another room.
yeah.
Could you hear it? Or?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so
Well, I didn't want to throw anybody out for testimony. I mean, he may be a never Trumper or whatever.
Oh, no, I
but,
was just
but
fucking
still,
around. That dude deserves to speak.
incompetence, and confusion has a lot to do with it. I think I agree with that.
in his testimony, he said there was these instructions during the training. There was a lawsuit.
And then there's people that know that they can capitalize off of that, right?
Right, dude. But I was just fucking around like,
No, I feel
with
you.
me.
You asshole, I hate you.
There were instructions to the Secretary of State to not do those things, and yet that message didn't seem to be delivered. Would you agree with that as being part of the
I would say
confusion?
that again gets back to the fact that this was a rush process. Right. Which again gets back to how much time did you guys allow the clerks to do their job? Right? There's always a reason for a problem.
Were you a poll challenger, a watcher, a worker? I don't remember, I'm sorry.
I'm a lifelong Republican.
Okay.
Until this election.
Okay. But did you have I just wondered if you had a title. You said you were at TCF.
I was an election challenger. Yeah.
A challenger, okay.
So,
first person I've heard say
what I
that.
saw was disturbing. I could see how people could be. You go in a very large room. It's really hot. I had a little thermometer with me to check my temperature through the course of the day. It was 85 degrees in there. It was really warm. There were too many people. People are shouting. People are yelling. There's the sharp elbows thing. You got folks that are upset with just having to be there, and because they're untrained, and there's that ignorance factor, right? Ignorance isn't the same as stupidity. It's just not knowing something. There's many things that you're ignorant about. Probably heart surgery, right? How to fix a carburetor.
I said that to somebody
Brake
recently.
lining, right?
Well,
There's
not that,
1,000
same
and million
thing.
things that we're just simply ignorant about. And there was a large Facebook and other social media, come on down, we need you. So you got a lot of people who are just completely untrained, had never done it before, and they're told, look out for fraud. At every single rally the president had, he said this election was going to be filled with fraud. Tweets galore, same thing. This election is a fraud.
Guess who's a
Were you
corporatist?
were you working during the shift when the ballots came in late in the morning?
I arrived at 5:55 on, it's the 4th, the day after the
morning?
election.
5:55 in the morning.
And then I left at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Was that Wednesday?
According to past testimony, that was the time of the most tension. Is when you were there then.
I was there all day. I was there for 16 hours. I was working another poll site on election day.
Okay.
So my day was, election day was busy. And then, so.
Senator McDonald, did you have a question? No? Senator Irwin. No? Thank you very much for your testimony, sir.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
I know it's logistically complicated with multiple rooms and social distancing, so I'll try to make some allowances.
The guy with the time troubles.
Well, we had a bunch of people who didn't show up, and then I had to read up their names faster, and so there was a little confusion there. So thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I did. My son
figure
did
this
get a call
out,
in the morning. He called me about a minute after I got out of bed. He said, "Dad, they need poll watchers, challengers down at Coble Hall." He said, can you give me any information? So I made some frantic calls, and he went down. I had wanted to go down previous. My wife, you see some of the physical conditions I have, said, "No way, you're going down there." But I came upstairs, said, "Hon, I gotta go." And so I went, and we got trained down there underneath the Election Integrity Fund. And the way I understood, there were at least 135 table groups, and I'm not sure how many Election Integrity Fund people were in there, but I knew my son was in there and had to leave to go pick up his sons. And I did not believe that they were granting other Republicans to replace them. We did know that they were kicking some out, and so I knew they were short, and yet they came out and said, no, they had plenty, and they would not let us in. I was there when they were boarding up the windows. And I don't know that Charlie Duff, he showed up and interviewed somebody, and then they started letting in about 6 at a time. I never did make it in before I was too tired. I can't stand very long, so I very often had to sit down. But it should be amazing to us that only Republican and nonpartisan workers were denied access to legally observe what is supposed to be a fair and transparent election. And it should not even be questioned when a Republican watcher or challenger is not at each table group. In the name of honesty and integrity, every Democrat involved should demand that the process stop when Republican without Republican eyes. This lack and the cheering and the denial should be regarded as reprehensible and manifestation of fraud with no other proof required. I mean, I've heard several times today, do you have proof? It's like,
absolutely,
man, when you're denied access, that should be sufficient proof.
1 minute.
And as legislatures, I would just encourage you guys, the least you can do is pass legislation to require maybe a revote. I heard one gentleman not too long ago talk about the different counties. To me, what would be a few more weeks if we actually made people feel like we had a transparent and fair election? Because right now, I would agree, most people that I know do not believe at all that we're anywhere close to that. And I would just, for the sake of the republic, I'm 67 years old, and I cannot stand the idea that our country could go down under an unfair election.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any members have questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Next, I have Holly and Nickel. Welcome.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes.
I was at TCF Center as a poll challenger, kind of the belly of the beast. Real quick, it's a longer story than this, but when I watched one of the incidents, Mrs. C was written on a shirt, brought down a box of ballots. Since they're in stacks of 50, I could estimate it was about 500 ballots. Gave this box of ballots to 3 ladies sitting at a table just off the platform. Excuse me, I'm nervous. One of the ladies, the far left one, tried to get our attention. She ended up giving us notes that were stuck on all these ballots, the sticky notes. She ended up giving us 4 of these notes. They read, received November 4th, enter as November 2nd. These 3 ladies were entering these ballots to the verified voter system. She also got my attention, turned around, tried to get me to see her laptop monitor, which I leaned in and saw, and she wanted me to see the signature. The signature on the screen was some huge circles like that. Signature on the ballot was little tiny vertical sticks. It wasn't even in the same solar system, definitely different signatures. And this one lady that was trying to help us ended up being Jesse Jacobs, the whistleblower. Onto the tabulators, I witnessed multiple times, stacks of 50 ballots being put through the tabulators multiple times. If they'd have been cleared, we would have no way of knowing because the supervisors for the tabulators made sure that the metal boxes they put the finished ballots in were so far behind the tabulators and made us stand behind those boxes. We were at least 12 feet from them and wouldn't allow us to get any closer to them. About signing in and signing out, they had us sign in, not out, and said that we had plenty of us in there. Wednesday night, there were 10 of us in the room. I mean, us as Republican poll challengers, sorry. Yet, when I left, there were still people in the lobby that were being barred from coming in. Still only 10 Republican poll challengers in the room. I witnessed the military ballots being duplicated. I just thought it was strange that only Biden's name was selected, no down ballot. And I watched multiples, I don't know how many I watched, and not one of them was for Trump. I thought that was really strange, especially being military. You must know in your heart that this election was fraudulent. There's no question of it if you really are sensible. And we all pray that you do the right thing. Pay attention to Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, and name the electors for Donald Trump. And I really appreciate you listening to me. Good timing.
Perfect timing, yes. Thank you for your testimony. I know that we're planning to hear from Jesse at a later date, so thank you for that. Do any other members have a question? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hello.
Welcome to the Senate Committee, Vicki.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I started off like I had my table I had was they didn't get very many ballots, probably 200 for the most night, so we weren't that busy. But so one thing I had seen was the truck that came in between 3:30 and 4, and there was golf carts. And I was sitting on one of the golf carts back there because my table wasn't doing anything, and I was just sitting there and I seen the door open. I heard a lot of commotion about what were all these ballots, and then so I walked over and I went by the door and I seen the white truck from the city. Looks like the city white pickup trucks, and they had the symbol on it. And there was one guy driving it, and he had a mask on, but looking at his eyes, he had, I would say, Asian descent. And I know he brought in at least 3 dolly balls.
That's racist.
Of the boxes, the white boxes with the paper cardboard on them, and took them over by the platform that the people were standing on. Somebody did mention, like, where did they come from? He goes, I don't know, I'm just the driver, was his statement. And that's basically, I don't know where the ballots came from. I know it was after 3 o'clock in the morning that they came, and there was quite a few of them, and there was quite a few people that seen it come in, and they looked just like the ballot boxes that were brought to the tables, and you can see the yellow envelopes of the voter back, that were in there.
I don't want to rush you. Can I ask a question? Or?
Yeah, you can ask a question. I just
So, were you watching them open the boxes after they were unloaded?
No, I did not open. No, because where they took the boxes at was over. Because I was back by the back door, because that's where my table was at, and I didn't want to leave that table because they kept, like, every once in a while we get a stray ballot. So I just had watched them take them over by the table, and I know I counted at least 3 trips, but I don't know if he made any more because then I went back to watching my table.
All right. Does any other member have any questions? Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oops.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So she was physically there?
And Donna Ross.
She saw it.
Welcome to the Senate Committee. You have 3 minutes. Can you talk a little louder for the microphone? That'd be great. Thank you.
So Monday I worked at TCF, and I watched them. On Monday they were taking the ballots out of the outer envelope, and it went pretty smooth. I have to admit, there were a couple things that concerned.
That's an obnoxious face shield she's wearing. I'm just saying.
I know.
I've seen so many people with those fucking things. It's ridiculous, dude.
I'm sorry, man. It's like, oh, come on. Who's gonna spray jizz on you? I mean,
the best thing about the whole thing
I'm afraid I get a facial.
At least you can look at somebody though with that and tell what they're thinking. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a little read of what's on their mind. Instead of a fucking blank ass face from the nose down.
What's great is to watch someone sneeze while they wear one of those. That's it.
Hey, that's what you do. Sneezing on it until you can't see out of it anymore, and then you get a new one.
Well, you
I saw one lady wear one, and she sneezed in it, and she panicked. She didn't know what to do. It was hilarious. I was like, oh, I guess you just have to take it off now.
It's
She's
like
like, I can't. I don't want to kill people.
Little personal bottles. Make little personal bottles of Windex, right?
Hilarious. Yeah.
Get a little windshield wiper for the inside.
Yeah. Oh, dude. You know, it's like, and they're just after that, after one sneeze, it's worthless, man. You know.
Yeah.
Dude,
God,
you know, somebody's making a killing on this shit. I'm just saying.
Right.
You know, people are saying it's Trump and Kushner, man, and I'm like, where the fuck did you see that? I don't know.
Trump would be wearing a mask more often if he was making money off the fucking things.
You think? Yeah, man. You're right. You're absolutely right. You know, because he put like gold letters and shit on it. You know, and his name is Trump name, Trump breathing mask. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I, addressed them. One was 80% of the ballots that were at my table 93 were closed with packaging tape. And I thought that was odd. 83%, like 80% of the ballots were closed with packaging tape. That seemed different to me. Another thing that I thought was like horrible is that whoever like marked the outside the ballot number on the outside of the outer envelope, they wrote it in a light green crayon, and so you couldn't you couldn't see if that ballot number matched the ballot number that was marked on the outside of the envelope. I'm
not shocked.
And then what I thought was odd was
probably ate them after they were done.
The ballot out of they were taking the ballot out of the
I'm shocked.
They were turning it around so that the number would be on top.
Are you saying
they'd
they were
take it out, they'd
Marines?
open it up, they'd look at it, fold it back up,
Maybe.
and make sure the number was on top. They had ink pens, and I thought, why did they have ink pens by where they're at? So I kind of brought a lawyer over, and we thought, why do you need an ink pen by where they're at? All their job was to turn the ballot over. So that day wasn't that bad. Then the next day I went to Henry Ford High School. There, right?
You have 1 minute left.
Oh, Henry Ford High
Sorry.
School. And when I was the only Republican in the gymnasium. There were 6 precincts, and after like about 2 hours, I realized they were giving out ballots to people that had an absentee ballot red question mark next to their name. And so I kind of like stopped the process, and we went around and everyone was giving out ballots to people that had that question mark. And we ended up calling the war room in Lansing because I said no, they have to call the clerk and have the ballot spoiled before they can issue them another ballot. And they didn't agree with me, so we got that straightened out, and that was true. They had to call the clerk. Well, the clerk wasn't answering. They weren't getting any answers. So I know they were just continuing to give people ballots that had the question mark because no one would answer at the clerk's office. And when I went to precinct 275, the girl, I said, what are you doing when they have the question mark? She goes, oh, I just write their names down. And she had a list of like 25 people. I go, no, that's not the process. And she goes, what do you mean? And it turned out she wasn't even a poll worker. She was supposed to be a Democratic poll challenger. And when she got to the building, she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't, obviously she didn't train, she didn't know what her job was.
Thank you.
All right. But I mean, to me, people got 2 ballots.
Thank you. Senator Lucido.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Nancy. You mentioned lawyers. How many lawyers were there?
There was probably 5 Democratic lawyers.
5 Democratic lawyers. How many Republican lawyers?
There wasn't one until like 5 o'clock. I was there 6:30 in the morning. She didn't come till 5 in the evening.
What time did you get there?
6:30.
What time did you leave?
8:30. No one could. No, I finally left. None of them could, balance their.
Did any of the lawyers or make statements regarding this hand truck, cart, dolly that had all these ballots in it?
No, that's at the TCF. I was at a high school.
Okay.
But the one lawyer said, well, he was going to take that list of 25 and he was going to spoil the ballots. I don't know.
All right, that gives me some idea. But there was no lawyers where you were, except Democratic lawyers? How'd you know there were Democratic lawyers?
I was the only Republican in the whole room.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you very much for your testimony. Did you submit things in writing?
I did, and a video.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, so what people were saying that there were ACLU lawyers there.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of these testimony. So I find that fascinating because
The ACLU gets a lot of money from the Act Blue thing.
oh, they get it from China and Soros. China and Soros. Sorry.
Well, I just know you could directly tie money from the Act Blue thingy to fucking
Them and
to
Biden.
the ACLU, like directly, just like the SPLC
Mm-hmm.
and the ADL.
Mm-hmm.
ENC.
Indeed. All right, we'll keep rolling. When we, I'm gonna see if I can find this lady up in the red. Okay, it's her turn anyway, isn't it? No. We can pass this lady up. Okay, let's do this dude first.
Ooh, what's wrong with? Oh, I thought he was having a heart attack. He was
No, that's it, because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't in the
I said thank you for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you were asking for more.
No,
Okay,
do any members have a question?
Get.
No? Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, mule. Yeah.
We done.
After Mr. Greenstein, I have Sylvia
Mr.
Halpert
Greenstein.
and Dr. Linda Lee Tarver.
Mr. Greenstein.
Thank you very much, Senators. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but since no one really said what I wanted to say, and I did file an affidavit with the Republican lawyers, so I have no idea whether that comes to you guys or not.
Greenstein.
Right.
I was expecting
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Eugene Greenstein from Farmington Hills. I was a poll chairman in Detroit on Tuesday, November the 3rd, and a GOP challenger on Wednesday at TCF, answering an emergency request for challengers. And my basic comment there is there needs to be a forensic audit. Why do I think so? I observed that envelopes, which were scanned in some cases, would have a different ballot number than was on the envelope. I was at board 55 in TCF. The ballot number, though, was in the poll book, as was the number on the envelope. The situation would result in a challenge ballot. The situation should result in a provisional ballot, because there's no one knows who voted for anything, because they didn't match, excuse me. And other situations, which I just couldn't follow, would be processed through also where there was this mismatch. And so my question is, how is it that there's this lack of integrity between the envelope and the ballot, which results in a counted ballot, when on Tuesday, I knew who voted at the polls? This absentee ballot process is a total disaster in terms of accountability, opportunity for fraud, etc. And good people can want to do good things, and bad people can want to do bad things. And I think we've seen a lot of problems here because the voter and the ballot don't go together. And that's my comment. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Greenstein. Any questions from members? No? Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Did you submit your testimony in writing, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm a registered voter in Oakland County, and I volunteered at the TCF Center in
All right, we can skip this lady too. All right, I just want, yeah, here's what I want to get to. All right. Now check this out, man. This is the I don't know, one of the most impressive things I saw.
They have Dr. Linda Lee Tarver, followed by Marilyn Fine, followed by Michael Haynes.
This woman made
Hi,
herself.
Dr. Tarver.
Thank you,
Welcome to the
Senators.
committee.
Thank you so much. My name is Linda Lee Tarver. I'm a Michigan voter, former Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner, a retired state employee, and a Republican activist. I'm a public servant under 5 secretaries of state, including Richard Austin, Candace Miller, Terry Lynn Land, Ruth Johnson, and I was delighted to retire under the current Secretary of State. I have been under 7 years under Secretary of State Ruth Johnson. In that role, I was the Community Affairs Director and Election Integrity Liaison. I assisted in preparing cases for referral to Attorney General Bill Schuette to prosecute for voter fraud. Ballot harvesting in Detroit, Flint, and Pontiac has been going on for decades. It's a misdemeanor to give your ballot to anyone not allowed by law to receive it, and it's a felony to take that ballot. People have been prosecuted in Michigan over the years as a result. Ballot stuffing, ballot curing, and complete fraud in the issuance, handling, and processing of ballots has not been addressed, and no election after 2020 should be considered fair unless we get this right this year. The complete hate, disdain, and apathy for Republican poll challengers is but one way of how elections are stolen in Michigan. Before COVID-19, and I'm talking to the Democrat in the House, and in every election in the last 25 years, Republican poll challengers were removed by the police, especially in Pontiac. MCL 168.733 says the election inspectors and other election officials on duty shall protect a challenger in the discharge of his or her duties.
What was that, Demo? What did you say?
25 years?
29 years.
That's what she said.
Oh. Okay.
You don't believe her?
2.5 decades of only letting one what?
We've been Democrat for fucking ever. Like as that state or Detroit as a city or whatever. It's fucking like, yeah, it's probably how
It's the auto workers union.
Is the behavior she's talking about,
right?
Uncle Patrick.
Am I wrong,
Doing a lot of
Trippy?
illegal shit. Irate?
Is Irate know that he's muted and that the video is paused?
I don't know.
Yeah, no. I was asking Trippy as it's the auto workers union, right?
I'm not 100% sure. Some of the stuff she's talking about, I didn't know about.
No. I'm saying that the reason that Detroit's been Democrat for so long.
Oh, that's
the
what
state.
they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say, but it doesn't quite. Yeah, the fucking teachers.
Yeah, you know,
that's why
but
we.
Go ahead.
That's why Detroit teachers fucking they go on strike like every 4 or 5 years.
That's right.
For a while, I think it was once every 10 years because they kept work or
Teachers and auto workers, man, they got you all by the nuts, man.
That's what fuck unions, man.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
don't get me started on those teachers' unions.
Oh
no
yeah,
shit, dude.
holy shit, yeah.
Hey, y'all saw that the head of the teachers union, the head of the NEA, is a top drawer candidate for the next Secretary of Education.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Who saw that coming? Holy smoke!
I think everybody did.
Exactly.
I saw that Life magazine has nominated Gretchen Whitmer for Person of the Year. I was like, wow, that's...
I thought that was Hemorrhoid of the Year. Anyway.
Yeah, she's one of the nominees, but there's a pretty big list of shitty
Fuck
people.
that bitch, man.
Contending
The
with
other amazing part, people, she was sitting there in that chair behind everybody writing what she's saying right now while they were speaking.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Okay,
let's
so-
like we're gonna keep rolling. No, she's got the experience, working in the government, and she's
Yeah.
very articulate, man. I really appreciate this shit. And Trippy, I'm telling you, I think she's single.
Shall protect is
Yeah,
not an
right.
option.
Nope.
Shall protect. It is never done in the urban areas. Never, never, never in the urban areas. In the 34 years I've been working for the state of Michigan, and certainly not the 29 years I've been working at the Secretary of State. It also says in subsection 4, a person shall not threaten
One
or
minute.
intimidate a challenger while performing an activity allowed. You shall not threaten or intimidate. It is a misdemeanor for what they have done, these inspectors, to continue to intimidate and throw out Republican poll challengers. It has been going on too long. 71% of Detroit precincts, our largest city, cannot be recounted. As always expressed as minor clerical errors, these are not minor. There are touch points in the process for these ballots to be, and the accounting to be done, those ballots to be opened. In order for this fraud to be corrected, we need a complete audit. You need to have optics on it. This has always been done in communities of color. It needs to stop. Enforce the laws and ensure, bring in independent inspectors. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Tarver. Any members have a question? Senator Tice?
Thank you, Dr. Tarver. I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate your testimony.
PhD.
Also very compelling. Do you have, when you speak about an audit and a complete audit, what would you see as the appropriate type of audit? Would it be a forensic audit? Would it be a hand recount of ballots? What would you like to see done?
71% of Detroit cannot be recounted, which means that the boxes that the ballots are in cannot be opened. 71% is egregious, and it happens in these communities of color. So if you cannot recount it because of a, quote, clerical error, according to Secretary Benson, these are not clerical errors. These ballots are hidden in. You can hide them in there until you're able to open them. There are processes that have been allowed so that when you cannot balance your precinct, you can go to a counting board or a board to evaluate them. At that time, those errors are supposed to be fixed, and they can open up the ballots. The only way to open up the ballot is to get you 71% of the ticker tape that says these are the numbers, and there are bad ballots inside. You cannot look at the ballots if you do a recount. You need an audit in order to do a forensic audit to look at those ballots. Some absentee ballots that were coming in were not even folded. How do you have a pristine, flat ballot without
mail-in
being
ballot.
folded if
Fuck
it was an
that.
absentee ballot? And therein lies some of the
Right.
problems. And once it goes into the machine multiple times, you cannot open up the case. If you put the wrong number on the seal, you can't open it up. If you put in, it doesn't balance, you can't open it up. And so there's problems with what's going on. We need to open up those ballots for the integrity, because we cannot move forward in any further election.
Audit.
So I am curious, because I understand that a lot of them didn't balance. What is the appropriate process once you get done with the election and you've done the ballot count and you realize that they're not balancing? What would the appropriate process be right then?
The precinct inspectors or the precinct captain who is supposed to be trained are supposed to contact the clerk's office if there's any problem with balancing. You're supposed to know and have your hand on how many provisional ballots, how many spoiled ballots, where are the missing ballots, what's going on. You're supposed to take care of it at the precinct level and then close your precinct. But if some reason you're not able to, there's a counting board where you take your ballots to turn them in to say, I testify that I did this and I've got my paperwork, I've got my poll books, I've got the notes written down in the poll books or in our electronic poll books. And that counting board is supposed to say, you're not in balance. Let us open up that container and make sure those poll books we can look at the ballots. We physically can look at them. But in these urban areas, they're lazy and they're not taking this, the civic right very seriously, or their duties very seriously. They take an oath when they do as a precinct inspector. They are not taking it seriously and have not for years. And the apathy toward the official duties here has become egregious, because once they decide not to balance that precinct, then it goes through and you have the hot mess that you had, where you have these canvassers, board of canvassers, 4 people that is supposed to amen that hot mess. Flint has never been able to balance. never been able to balance, and there's touch points across where they have the ability to open that up, to do a quote, honest open of the ballot itself, the container itself. If you're not able to open that container up, which after it leaves the counting board, you're not able to do it unless you get a court order or an audit. And no one has been brave enough to do it. 71% of Detroit cannot be recounted. We have nothing. And when we did it recount before, we saw some of the most egregious things when we looked through and did recounts before.
Let that sink in. 71%. 71%. Exactly.
Can't be looked at.
Yeah,
that
they
means
wanna hide shit.
only 29% of the vote is you can actually match it up.
That's fucking insane.
And once it goes past the county board of electors, if the state orders a recount because of Michigan state law, they cannot recount any of those precincts that are out of balance, which means those 71%, their counts stand as is. They cannot be recounted.
Right.
So, I mean, you can ask for recounts till the cows come home.
But I think the whole idea is to declare it, declare it and go ahead and then elect electors, right?
Right. Yeah. But these people are asking for an audit before a recount.
Yeah.
A recount won't do shit because all they do is recount the same fraudulent votes that they already have in.
Right. So there's 70% of shit that they've thrown away that's useless, right? Because they know it's fucked.
Right.
Think about that, man. Right.
They should never ask for a recount. They should always ask for an audit, and then after that, when they find all the fraud,
count all the audited votes.
They need them to do the electors and completely just throw out all the votes, get the electors in, and they determine.
Would it be wonderful to have 100% audit on the election?
It'd be wonderful if this just went all the way through the next 4 years.
Yeah,
it's just nonstop.
No, they're gonna put this shit to bed. Oh, you watch, man. The mainstream media. This has all been taken care of. That's why I named this Creem Streem. No evidence of widespread dead voter fraud.
Didn't you see the stuff with the CNN peoples saying that they know that they shouldn't talk about how Trump isn't leaving office and shit?
Well, yeah, the Fareed Zakaria said, you got to prepare yourselves, people. So, I thought that was funny as shit that they would even, and I think that he was trying to provoke violence, or at least rioting. No, rioting at least, I think that was a dog whistle, literally.
It's like the same shit. He didn't get what he wanted, though, not out of Republicans.
Because they're fucking dogs, that's why. Right.
Like, if they sit there and they think Republicans are about to start rioting, they are sadly fucking mistaken.
And that's a problem. That's a fucking problem. I mean, at this point, man, it's like...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, do these people not understand that they don't understand what the working class is going to do when they think they no longer have a voice at the voting booth?
Right.
I don't think they get it. They think they can just stomp them down. They don't realize how big the working class is.
Right.
I think they got a situation like Mao had. Right, right. So, and it's not. It's the opposite.
Yeah. Right.
I would say.
We haven't. No, we aren't kowtowed into fear. They think we're scared, but we aren't.
No, we're trying to keep our shit together. Yeah. Gritting our fucking teeth.
Everybody's standing there going, "Wait a minute, you better."
Let's keep her on because I think she's got
children through our teeth. Yeah.
She ends up talking longer than everybody else did. So, and she's just, man.
Detroit. There's some things in there that should never have been in there. And that is what I'm telling you about when you're able to open up those ballot boxes. But it is not going to be at the Detroit canvasser level and certainly not at the Michigan State Board of Canvasser level.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tice. Vice Chair Irwin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions for you that I'm going to ask you based on the fact you've been around for a while, you've been an activist, you work for the Secretary of State's office, so that's why I'm going to ask you these things. I think my first question is, are you aware that there are audits done on past elections, and in any of your official or unofficial capacities, did you ever have the opportunity or cause to review those audits that looked into things like, dead voters and all that kind of stuff that we've done in the past?
Yes.
Okay, and did you find that the answers to those questions were that, in fact, these were clerical errors in previous audits that have been done by the Legislative Auditor General and been before this committee in the recent years?
So I've worked with Chris Thomas for years, and I've submitted some illegal stuff that I felt was illegal to them to investigate, and they were investigated. How they remedied it was not according to what I felt was necessary. There have been clerical errors, if you call it clerical. The law concerning your ability to be a precinct inspector, a poll worker, is that you have to have a sufficient clerical acumen in order to perform the duties, which means you should be able to read and write and add and subtract. And you should be able to perform the duties without any inhibitions. We know that there are over 500 precincts in Detroit, and many of the people who will come and get trained, some of them will not show up. But the ones that do show up, they are not given sufficient training on how to legally perform the duties that they have. However, if they are told that the challenger is the enemy, this person standing behind you is the enemy, and they have not been told that the person behind you must be protected, you will not be able to address some of the oversight, laziness, ignorance of the law, ignorance of the process, and lack of training. And so one of the ways that ballots are, the election fraud occurs is when you have workers who are not properly trained. And that's where we are finding is lack of training. They're in a hurry. They're not sure what to do. But those clerical errors are mixed with clerical errors, but a lot of them are considered fraud. I would have referred all of them to the Attorney General if it were me. But Chris Thomas and others decided not to. They tried to remedy those things as best they can, but unless you put the full faith into the law and start prosecuting people, we will continue to see what we've been seeing. 71% of Detroit cannot be recounted. And I would not want to run on a Detroit city nothing at all. I would not want to run in the city of Detroit knowing that there have been, quote, clerical errors, that some of them are illegal. There are ballot curing problems. We have seen people walk into the clerk's office in Detroit with a stack of 75 ballots. Janice Winfrey is standing next to me. And this guy is not related to all of these people. He's not a postal worker, nor does he work for the clerk's office. These are ballot harvesting has been going on. Inez Brown in Flint has been, the clerk of City of Flint has been complaining about it. These are not clerical errors. These are what's been allowed. And when you have drop boxes for all of these urban areas to make it convenient, you do not have the ability to check the drop box and I'm putting in 50 ballots. If you don't compare the signatures, you toss the signature out. You don't compare the signatures, you're supposed to. It's in the law. We are not following the law, and we are not following it in every election. And the larger the jurisdiction, which are people of color, people who look like me, the more fraud that can be inserted into stealing an election. And that is a problem, and we need to stop it.
Okay, I almost am afraid to ask another question.
Ask the second question.
You've read the audits. You've seen them. We both read the audits.
They know me. So
yeah, I know. I'm glad we both read the audits. I just keep putting it out there that, in fact, it is part of Michigan election law that we have audits, and those audits have been done in recent elections, and they'll be done after this one as well. And, I just want to put that out there. And then also, one of the things
you're talking about a
post-election. That's
yes, but
that's what the law says.
They're insufficient
I appreciate your
they're insufficient for what the purpose is. I'm asking for a forensic audit of the election itself, looking for the fraud and illegal votes.
Yes, and I'm wondering why the Trump campaign didn't want to do a recount, which would have been the normal process.
Why would you recount 71% of the votes cannot be recounted?
That's a problem.
I'm just telling you, why waste your money and time? It costs money to do a recount. Why waste your money when 71% of the votes that you need to look at physically cannot be even seen?
Okay.
29%, I'm not paying $2 million or $4 million for 29% of the ballots that can be counted, because the rest of them cannot be counted.
That's one of the reasons why I voted against the changes to the recall law that made it so onerous and difficult for people who wanted to look into these issues.
Open up the ballots.
The issue that you mentioned that I just want to highlight for the committee, because I really agree with you on this, is that
this dude is really sucking up, man. I'm just saying.
When you have a situation where there's a discrepancy at that precinct, those precincts should be recountable. And we need to find a way to make that so. And I think that what you're going to find here in Lansing is that there are a whole lot of Democrats who are going to agree with that. We want these ballots to be looked at. We want elections to be run in a safe and secure manner. But the problem is that this legislature has been controlled by Republicans since the 80s. The state Senate has been controlled by the Republicans since the 80s. And so my question to you is, after the
He's too much of an amateur to flip the script, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ain't got jack
I
shit.
know,
I mean, it works either way, but yeah, you ain't got shit, Jack.
2016 election, when we saw the problems that we saw that you just hinted at, when we had agreement apparently between a lot of folks about the fact that these precincts should be recountable, why did we see no changes in the law to address any of these issues while we had a Republican governor, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate?
So I'd be happy to answer that question. That's a very simple one. We have sufficient laws on the books. So my brothers and sisters in the Republican GOP has done their due diligence to pass laws, make laws. The enforceability of the laws, however, because in Grand Traverse County, we're not having this problem. In certain counties, that Van Buren County, we're not having this hot mess problems that we have in Pontiac and in Flint and in Detroit. We don't have that. So if you want Republicans to pass more laws, why don't the Democrats in their cities enforce the doggone election laws so that that we can have fair and just elections? Because I just gave you the law. It's a felony for me to give my friend, next door neighbor, my ballot. It's a misdemeanor for me to give it to them, and it's a felony for them to turn it in. A felony. It is not enforced. And we have situations in the inner cities and these Democrat-controlled areas, because that's what we're talking about. Democrat-controlled areas cannot seem to balance their elections. And because they have been habitual violators of the inability to balance their election because of either ignorance, apathy, lack of leadership, or lack of caring about their election integrity. Because if you add more laws to the books, you still have people who will not follow the law. And if you don't enforce the law, if you don't bring in Republicans to say, I am going to be a poll worker. If you need 5 Republicans in the building, make sure 5 workers are. Contact the Michigan Republican Party. Ask them for 5 people or 25 people or 200 people to work it. And then when the challengers come in, you protect them. You don't put them out. You don't call the police on them. You're supposed to protect them according to the law. If you follow the law in the urban Democratic controlled areas, then we would not be here today. I certainly wouldn't be here. But in 25 years that I've been monitoring elections, working with the Secretary of State, the last 8 doing election integrity, it's been a hot mess in the same Democrat-controlled areas. We don't need any more laws. We need to enforce the laws, and we need to open up the doggone ballot boxes.
But we are agreed that we need to change the laws on recounting precincts. We do agree that we need to change the law on recounting precincts, right? We should change the law on recounting precincts. That was
we're not changing the laws for recounting.
Screen, but the question was about that specific law, allowing the recounting of imbalanced precincts.
No, we're not.
Change that law.
We're not trying to talk about recounting for imbalanced precinct. The balancing of the precinct can come at the counting board level. You think that the ballots come out and then all of a sudden it's given in and locked up in a box. It is not. Once it leaves the precinct, it goes to a counting board. They have the full authority to open up that ballot box because it's not balancing. If the seal is broken, if this is broken, they can reseal it at the counting board. There is a law with the counting board, and it's lazy in the inner cities of color, of people who look like me are not doing their job. And it needs to be done so that we can count 100% of the precincts instead of 29%. That's what needs to be done, is to make sure people are doing their job. You won't get that in an audit. What you will get in the current fake audits that we've been having and these fluff audits that we've had right now, you will get, well, these can't be recounted, so okay, so we can't do that. Here's what we can. You'll get an audit of the 29% in Detroit that can be recounted. That's all you're going to get. Because we need to see the 71% of the fraud that has been locked up and will be destroyed after so many years. That's what we need to see.
Thank you,
I'll take any other questions.
Thank you, Senator Irwin. Senator Lucido.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Tarver. I got to tell you, I can't agree with you more. My whole problem is sitting in this chair today and leaving the Senate to go prosecute those crimes. Why was it when the Secretary of State, which you were there how many years?
I've been with the Secretary of State 29 years.
Almost 30 years. And we've been in this room here over 6.5 hours, and the irony is it's about the same issue. Mm-hmm. If the people are doing their jobs and the integrity of the vote is being respected, we wouldn't be in here today.
That's right.
2 is 71% can't be counted because
of fraud or apathy or incompetence or clerical error or all of the above.
So we did some testimony, and the chairman was gracious enough to bring in 3 separate identifiable clerks from 3 separate identifiable counties. We asked these questions. How many of the ballots weren't signed that you didn't count? How many didn't look like signatures? I mean, we went into the deep dive because there's so many people that are so disenchanted. I don't want them to give up on the vote. I want them to remember that people sacrificed their lives for these amendments.
People who look like me died to get the right to vote, and I'm telling you, it is sacred.
And this discriminatory practices with women not getting the same right that men years ago. If it's a felony, it's a felony. Mm-hmm. If it's got to be prosecuted, it should be. Otherwise, the whole fabric of this entire nation falls apart. Discrepancies in the precincts, I get it, to my colleague up here. If you're going to have discrepancies, as if it's an easy fix. But I'm not hearing things from all over the state. I'm hearing them in segregated areas, and I think you are targeting these areas by saying people are either inept to do their job or they don't care about doing the job.
they have either been instructed not to care or have been allowed to, over the decades, not to be held accountable for the lack of accountability in the sacred vote. When you have gone so many years, people do not want to be called racist.
Right.
And if you're going into urban areas, in particular Detroit, you're hearing, why are you trying to disenfranchise the black vote?
Yeah.
You are racist, racist, racist.
I think this, and
But that has been the mantra to allow for the 71% of no accountability when we have safeguards in place to ensure the balancing of the precinct and the seal that is not broken.
Dr. Tarver, those ballots are not of color. They
I agree.
are one color.
That's right.
And they go in and they have parties on them. And the disrespect that I've heard throughout the process in Wayne County, in Detroit, only leads me to believe that even an audit process, and I got to ask this question, if 71% can't be counted,
Cannot.
the audit process to spend the kind of millions of dollars that it would take, and I really don't even know what CPA firm or what firm would do an audit. Have you, in your almost 30 years with the Secretary of State, could you identify a firm that specializes in election audits?
We'd have to bring in the federal government. The forensic audit that is needed is not going to be what has been done in order to open up those ballot boxes, which we need to.
So
that's where we need to open up the ballot boxes.
So if this has never been done, in the history of this country, I'm asking this question: does the legislature cumulatively or collaboratively work on a standard that would be the audit process? Because the next thing I see is that there's going to be debate over the audit process.
I don't see the legislative body, this body, passing any law to change anything, because must balance is not going to force Detroit to balance. Must balance is not going to force Inez Brown, the city clerk of Flint, to balance. Must balance. She's never been able to balance since she's been an election clerk there. So she's never balanced. Pontiac won't balance. There's a few other places, mostly urban areas, that will not balance. And they don't have to be as large as Detroit. They just won't balance. And if we don't have a mechanism in place, because once you pass a law that says we're going to do this, it is not going to be heeded, because then if you try to enforce it in the urban areas, you'll be considered a racist. You'll be considered disenfranchising the voters. You're just trying to check on us. Oh, black folks from Detroit need to have our whatever 71%. If you can't count it, you can't count it. And this Secretary of State will call it small clerical errors. And that is the mantra and talking points that should not be done. This is not a small clerical error. If there is fraud in those 71%, they need to be opened. Open the boxes. And that's going to be the new mantra, hashtag open the boxes.
Mr. Chair, I just have we're going to get down and drill down on this, but the reality is I don't think my colleagues on the opposite side of the aisle feel any differently. I think, to Senator Irwin's point, all of us want the integrity, the respect, and trust. Otherwise, we sitting here as lawmakers make no sense if the vote doesn't count and it doesn't accurately reflect what's going on.
That was certainly the sentiment expressed at our joint committee's first meetings by all members.
And at the end of the day, though, if we don't have the capability of resurrecting this wrong to accurately reflect what the vote is, how did it get so disenfranchised that we all are sitting here today hearing ballots brought in at 4 a.m? I must have heard it 20 times, maybe more. Ballots that were going through and counted 8 times. Ballots that weren't signed going through, or the signature up here, or the date. 1900.
Oh yeah, the constitutional issue, and the constitutional issue that the president is arguing, which is a valid one, is that the equal protection under the law, it's required under the Constitution, and this is the president's argument. Me in Lansing, Michigan, if I sent in my absentee ballot, I didn't sign it, or I voted straight Republican and straight Democrat, my partisan section should be spoiled because they should not be curing it. And that is being cured. If I did not do what I needed to do, my ballot won't count. But if the same ballot was sent in Detroit, it is cured, which is fake, trying to interpret the results, and it is accepted if I don't sign it in Detroit. And that's where in Lansing, my ballot won't count. In Detroit, it will, and I should be able to have equal protection under the law. That is the constitutional amendment. That's the constitutional argument that our president is making. That is what you should be looking at. Are we treated fairly, regardless of where we live in Michigan? Will my vote count, regardless?
You use the word cure.
Cure.
In the law,
yes.
If you look at the legal definition of cure, what do you mean by the definition of cure?
So the curing of the ballots is if you're not able to, you've got an absentee ballot, and it is kicked out. Because if you're sitting there, your ballot is kicked out if there's an overvote. Or if there's an undervote, if there's an overvote, let's say it says vote for not more than 2 and you vote for 3. It's an overvote. It'll kick it back out if you're at the precinct.
You have a chance to cure
and you have
the
a chance to cure your own ballot.
To redress the wrong
Correct.
ballot.
But if it's an absentee ballot,
yes,
it is not supposed to be cured.
It is not supposed
No,
to be. It's supposed
your
to be.
partisan
It's a spoiled
section,
ballot.
that section is spoiled, it's not countable, but the nonpartisan section that you did correctly is supposed to be counted.
So let's go by example. I vote straight ticket, Democratic.
And Republican.
Or I vote straight ticket, but when I get to the judges, choose not but one, because they're nonpartisan,
Right,
that part.
right.
I choose two. What happens to the ballot?
So your ballot counts, but if it's an absentee, that particular judge is not, it's not counted.
Nobody gets a vote.
Correct.
Okay. At the end of the day, I sat here as a legislator for over 6 years now. I sit in this chair and I wonder why the Secretary of State, if you have to request a ballot in a primary for Democrat or Republican, why they just can't make two ballots, all Republican, all Democrat, and send them out so it can't get spoiled. You can't make a mistake. You can't go across the center line.
That is what occurs during the primary. So each group, Republicans and Democrats, decide who's going to be on their ballot.
But if you don't want the ballot to be spoiled and not counted, and you want your vote to count,
You can split your ticket in the general.
But I'm
Correct.
saying in the primary, do you see why, if I'm asking for a Democratic or Republican?
No, I would agree with you.
Because now it's an impossibility to spoil that ballot.
That's only in the primary.
Right. But that brings the next level of seekers to move to the general. And if the ballot was spoiled enough times, that seeker may not get the opportunity to serve.
I agree.
Okay, one more thing, and then I'm going to call it, because I know it's been... No, but you know what? I'm tired of sitting here and trying to defend...
I'm just giving you a hard time, Mr. Vice Chair.
Just go ahead. Give him all the time he wants here.
71% not being able to be counted, which means...
71% not being able to be recounted.
Which means, do we ever get the opportunity to find out what the hell happened?
You will never know what is actually in that box, in the ballot box. You're not able to determine if those who are, those ballots are even duplicated. If you see people sending in 3 or 4 times, you don't know.
So, that statement of 71% has been stated out in the public. You are aware, being with the Secretary of State's office 29 years, that's a long time. At the end of the day, does this give rise for the Attorney General to make an investigation and inquiry why 71% of that vote went that way?
Yes, I would believe that, again, if there is impropriety, that is where the Attorney General can investigate. I've prepared referrals to Bill Schuette for election crimes. We've had people in Michigan prosecuted for voting in Michigan and at their summer home in Florida. We've had people who were not here legally, non-citizens, vote in Michigan. We've had tons of people who voted twice, voted in person and absentee, and they're doing it in large clusters in these urban areas. It is a problem in the Democrat-controlled areas. It's not the problem with the laws on the books. It's a problem in the Democrat-controlled areas, and the laws need to be enforced. And if they cannot be enforced, they need to at least bring in the federal government to do an oversight and administer elections in these urban areas, which have been routinely unable to be balancing at the end of the day. We have too many touch points where those things can be balanced, but we have an apathy or just a corrupt, either apathy or a corrupt system. And for some reason, we have no appetite with this governor, Secretary of State, or the Attorney General to do anything about it at this point. This is too egregious and too much fraud that it should have been already investigated.
Well, we have seen prosecutions in election fraud, such as Southfield. There is selective prosecution in certain areas. At the end of the day, why wouldn't this state want the ability to make the inquiry? Is it because the case isn't delivered perfectly? I mean, these are credible people that are testifying here, including yourself.
It is COVID, before COVID, and even with COVID, COVID does not change the law. The law was not changed to accommodate COVID. The people who are the challengers are required and need to be protected in order to see the process. They can challenge the voter, they can challenge the precinct inspector, and they can challenge the entire process. That's what the law says, 168.733. That's what the law says. But we also have laws on the books that allow for people, the public, to view. And we also have laws on the books, but if they're not going to be enforced because it's an urban area, we have laws that says that people who should need assistance should be able to have assistance in voting. And some of these precincts did not have handicap and disability procedures there. Voting by mail disenfranchises a lot of people who cannot read and write, who need assistance, who need some assistance in the voting process with the machines that will read the ballot to them. And so this is the problem where we're not allowing we've used as an excuse COVID, but we are not allowing what needs to be done. Just like the children who are not in school with disabilities are not getting the special care that they need, neither did the voters here in Michigan. They did not get the special assistance that is required by law. These special assistance, even those people who are blind, people who need Braille, people who need special audio equipment, we have those at every precinct, or it should be at every precinct, so that the people of Michigan will have everything they need to vote, and that is not being done in the urban areas. And if people don't want to touch Detroit, but it is not a sacred cow anymore. It is looking more like a cow, but not a sacred cow anymore.
I want to say thank you to the chairman. I've gone way over my time.
So have I. I'm
and
sorry.
You know what, though? These questions need to be answered because all of us are here because of this.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the discussion. I do want to say I wish that we had the opportunity to bring you in on a time. The agenda today was really supposed to focus on TCF, but out of respect to you and your experience, have allowed us to go off. But we may need you to come back when we get more into that specific subject matter. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
citizens have serious concerns.
Okay, that's it. And I've got another hour and 20 minutes of this shit, man. It's like I like to keep the show time at 2 hours, so people know what they're getting. But we'll pop in here, and I want to thank. Looks like we had a new addition, and that would be the one and only Divine Petulance. Greetings and welcome.
Greetings.
Welcome aboard. Peace, Jakes. Greetings. Let's see, I was wanting to say something to somebody, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, well, it must not have been very important.
I saw Gamer Feline, and I tried to say hi, but my cat stuck her head in my hand, so I'm petting a cat, and I can't. Hi, Gamer Feline. Haven't seen you in a while.
Gamer Feline. Hey, wow. You sneaky. You got by me. You got by the goalie.
All right, guys, I gotta dip. I gotta work tomorrow.
You gotta go, brother?
First time to watch the Creem Stream.
Yeah, I gotta be working 6 hours.
Oh shit! Go get some sleep, monkey.
Love you, man.
Hi, monkey.
Rest well, dude. So yeah, and that. So
I've been reading up. We got one thing in common. We got the fire down below. Just saying.
I think Rosa's reading up on Michigan law.
I've been reading up on all of these state election laws and finding all these nifty little things like the provision in Michigan law that says that if the ticket's unbalanced and the county board of elections has already certified it, it can't be reopened. You can't recount that precinct.
Yeah.
That count just stands. So, I mean, oh, Jesus. It's back.
So it's in their interest to certify before a recount is requested, or
yeah, the law is poorly written. It's not that the precinct gets thrown out. It's that you can't recount it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, hold on, y'all.
The original count stands. Yeah.
Right.
So
Am I muted?
make sure your ticket's off by 2 or 3 to make sure that it goes by the county, and they're like, it's only 2 or 3, and then there's no recount on that precinct.
That's stupid. It is very frustrating when you hear like the amount of just bullshit that these people are doing. I do need to say something to Ty Man. Donates $5 and says, "Can't we all just get along?" And Puff Prost, Irate and Doc Griffin 2028. Hey man,
oh yeah!
If I'm still alive, and we will consider that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I believe that Elliot Page should play the Robin that gets killed by the Joker.
Except that he doesn't.
He just keeps being.
DC has brought him back. He is now Red Hood.
Hey, she should get to play Dick at least. Something. Make her Jason Todd.
Okay, this is like worse than soap operas in the 90s and early 2000s, guys. Like, they need to stop.
All right, so I guess it's time to chill out and shove off, as it were, for the evening. Let's start out with, of course, Tim of the Hunt.
Well, hi everybody. You can find me here tomorrow for accelerated deconstruction at
I don't know. Bama's kicking off at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, we're going to do a direct skeller on Messiah of Keck's channel.
Hi.
And it will be at, I believe, 7 o'clock Eastern as well. I probably have it wrong because I'm very tired and my brain has been trying to fall out of my ear for the last 3 hours. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and then I'm here. I don't have a Twitter because I think Twitter is dickhole, and I'm tired of making new accounts. So I'm on Parler and Minds for the most part. Right. And I have a Discord, but that's where you can find me, but don't expect me to say much because I'm busy right now.
I need your Parler info and shit so I can put it in the description here.
I will do that later.
All right, Becca, you want to show your shit?
Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will have special guest Sora Luna on with me. That should be fun. But there's a possibility that we're either gonna change the time or have to reschedule. She had something come up. So we're still working it out, but as of right now, it's still scheduled for 6 p.m.
Yeah, Sora's one of those people that I want to get inappropriate when I'm around her. not necessarily in a sexual way. Not necessarily. Oh, but anyway, bam.
I like
Freud. No, Mama.
Who's going to smack your face for that?
So, all right, let's see. Was that all, Becca?
And then Sunday, 8 p.m. Central. Not sure who's gonna come on. I just kind of invite people on willy-nilly, so that should be fun too.
Okay, Roasted?
Yeah.
I have a channel. It's called Roasted Opinions. Every so once in a while, I actually get my act together and put out a video. I'm working on one right now by request, laying down some of the history of communism. I'm doing a lot of research on it, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes with it. I'm just trying to lay down the historicals on it and let y'all make up your own minds.
That's right. And, and everybody, all right, everybody that does this thing with me are severely undersubbed. Please subscribe to these people. Trippypoop, what you got coming up, man?
I got my Sunday show. I got unbanned from the YouTubes, so I'm back doing my stuff. Yeah, Sunday at 11 at night. You guys come watch me and we'll laugh at stupid shit, I'm sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and anything else?
Not for me.
Okay, well, all right, so this is all right. I don't know about tomorrow because Bama's playing in the evening, so
Okay.
there's that. And I don't know, man. Excel's kind of like I don't know. We'll just we'll leave that hanging.
In that bathtub again.
Sunday, Uzi Q is going to be on Ice Cream interviews, and I got some special questions for her. Yes, it should be fun. And if you have any questions for Uzi Q, besides Becca FERHLE'S, do you have any strange collections? Yeah.
I love the question.
No, she's dying to hear the one say, "Yes, I've got saved toilet paper." Right? He's got a toilet paper collection. Used toilet paper. No, that was actually a work of art I saw in New York when I went up there in the 80s, man. It was all these squares of used toilet paper underneath plastic. Oh my God, it was horrible.
Dude, why?
Yeah. All right, then Monday, Becca and I are on Extra Credit are going to be looking at Red China, and there's. It's really hard to find shit about the Great Famine, and I wonder why that is.
What?
I wonder why.
It was part of the Great Leap Forward, which you can find some stuff on, but they leave out the famine part.
Didn't they also have a famine with the Cultural Revolution and the 100 Flowers campaigns?
They've had famines with every goddamn campaign they had, man. It's like shitloads of people just die. It's like every 10 years, all right, we got to kill about 8 million. Y'all ready? And on that note, it's just like, you put it perfectly, Roasted, the price of socialism and communism is always death. Death. And misery.
Shoot the smart people, take all the talented people who have lots of experience and put them on in Gulag, and then send a whole bunch of people that have neither the education nor the experience to do the job to go do the job based on the fact that they are really, really cheerful about your political party. So the cheerleaders are going out to play football, And
Yes.
the problem is that they're the cheerleaders for the volleyball team and have never watched a football game in their lives.
No shit.
35-yard field goal. Oh wait, no. 35-yard punt or kickoff. That's what it was. Kickoff. She made it 35 yards. Did you guys see that? The girl that kicked the football.
I can do better.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Yeah.
I can
And
do
they
better
fired
than
that they fired that black coach that hired her too. It was like
Like
that.
now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're extreme wokeage, so they're covered by the chick, right? You see what I'm saying? Anyway, I want to say goodbye to everybody. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Watch this video. It's funny as shit. The part at the end of it is Satsu 2 cents did it. It is funny as shit. So and I got permission. All right, so love y'all. See y'all next time. Laters.
Later.
Was there any fraud found in this year's election?
No, there was no evidence of widespread fraud found.
Widespread?
Yes, no evidence of widespread fraud.
But there was evidence of fraud, right? Just not widespread?
Nope, no evidence of widespread fraud.
So, just so we are clear, there was indeed fraud, it just was not widespread.
No, you are misunderstanding me. There is no evidence of widespread fraud that would have made an impact on the election.
So, once again, there was indeed fraud, just not enough to influence the election.
No, there was no fraud.
So, there wasn't any fraud at all.
No, there was no evidence of widespread fraud.
Are you fucking with me right now?
Thanks, y'all. Roll Tide. Bye. Not y'all.